What's up, buddy? Check this out. Mr. Duck. I will post. Hope things are getting better. Fuck, not really, dude. Today was terrible. Today was terrible, bro, and I'm not gonna talk about it. I just want a game and just fucking focus on the game tonight. What's up, Cujo? Whoa, 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 whoa. Good news is I got lots of Coca-Cola. Grind some quests? Yeah, I think I'm gonna grind some quests tonight, to be honest with you. Yo, Cujo. Wrapped around your finger, mind circling into cousin. Next, it's already gone. About to written out on the song. Song of the Elves. What a cancer quest. Seventy construction, 70. I only need 3. 3 skills to 70. Whoa. What? Love you too. Martha.
I know it's 25 minutes, but happy early birthday.
Oh, well, thank you. 28 years old. Woohoo. Yippity-ki-yay. Love you too. Yeah, my birthday's tomorrow, boys. October 3rd. Happy early birthday. Appreciate that. Happy birthday soon. Yeah. Appreciate that, brother. Good to go. But I drink it straight. A good old jam for the boys. Is Rocky gonna kick me a steak? It's funny you say that because I kicked a steak last night and that motherfucker would not leave me alone. So I give him a little chunk out of the steak. My man fucks off and just lets it for the rest of the night. Getting black, label under. Yeah. Bottoms up. It's like 2 shots in there, maybe 3. Ooh, never mind. Never mind. There's something in the bottom of it.
No, 'cause baby, you said you will
Pass
know
on
the
that.
difference when you mix it with some whiskey. It'll still get
Pass
you
on that.
buzzed up just right. Don't believe it, kiss me, boy, it's still gonna get you tipsy. So I did, and your lips taste just like Jack and Diet Coke, Jack and Diet Coke. Now, baby, all I want is Jack.
We'll have the
and
Coke,
Diet
though.
Coke, Jack and Diet Coke. Started playing your song,
Fuck, man.
singing along while I lit up a Marlboro on the patio. Only knows you in her, now you talking about
W
how
Coke,
your
yeah,
mama
I
would
agree.
love me, but your daddy won't. They were half of the drinks, but they were getting us gone. Your kisses were liquor and you were pouring them on. And that bartender was pouring them strong. Yeah, 'cause baby, you said you will know the difference when you mix it with some whiskey. It'll still get you buzzed up just right. Don't believe it, kiss me, boy, it's still gonna get you tipsy. So I did, and your lips taste just like Jack and Diet Coke, Jack and Diet Coke.
Can we get a bucket? Can we get the elusive bottomless bucket? Let's see, gentlemen. Let's see. Can we get the bottom bucket?
Ever since you left, can't help it, been sunk off the deep end. All that I can drink about is us still drunk off the weekend. When you said you won't know the difference when you mix it with some whiskey, it'll still get you buzzed up just right. Don't believe it, kiss me, boy, it's still gonna get you tipsy. So I did, and your lips taste just like Jack and Diet Coke, Jack and Diet Coke. Now, baby, all I want is Jack and Diet Coke, Jack and Diet Coke.
Cherry flavored cola.
Now, baby, all I want.
A Jack and cherry flavored cola.
Now, baby, all I want.
Oh shit! I fucked up. Whoop. There we go.
Don't mind them bottles on the shelf or the pills on the floor. Probably see all the hell through the hole in my door. The only thing in this house that ain't been a war is a bed, 'cause the truth is I don't sleep anymore. Trust me, don't you worry about that burnt pal sitting out back. It's just full of all the memories from my past. And I don't wanna talk about it, so please don't ask. Please don't ask. Excuse the mess,
I'm sure you can if you got the stats for it.
She got the best of my heart and my head left
A song of the others you should be able to.
Now I ain't been the same since she left. Since she left. Oh, excuse the mess. Blood on my knuckle, about as red as my eyes. That cigarette's about as gone as my mind. I try to run from demons, but I can't hide. I can't hide. Excuse the mess, I'm a wreck. Oh, 'cause she got
Oh,
the
what? I didn't hit this one over here.
I
was wondering why I couldn't hit him.
My chest. Now I ain't been the same since she left. Since she left.
Oh!
Oh,
I just fucking died. It was 40, bro. Oh no. That's cringe. I can't believe I just died to this sport. I didn't realize I was tangled until it was too late. I was like fucking 2 ticks way too late. 2 ticks way too late. Holy fuck, bro. That's crazy work, right?
Victims of political violence.
More often, and
Much more.
So, would
That's
you
crazy work. I can't believe I actually
that
just
specific
died fucking
incident
scoring,
as
bro.
as violence
That's like the
on
first
right
time
of
that's
the
ever
left?
happened.
Well, the target is the right. The target was Donald Trump. So the net result is the same. We are often the targets of violence.
Yeah, but the left,
including
is
someone who may be a
violent.
moderate Republican. Yeah, the left is still overwhelmingly violent. And I point to those polls that you can peruse from YouGov, from Reuters, not bastions of conservatism, along with the rhetoric since then. Here's the one thing that you can't point me to. And we can go through the stats. And I know you've probably heard from those on the left that actually there's more right-wing political violence. They're often circulating that right now. I can disabuse you of that notion.
Where's my stuff?
Relatively quickly. I think we'd find common ground there. You still can't point me to an example that is comparable on the right of Charlie Kirk, someone who was not an elected official, a public figure who was
I never knew if I died
really
there.
notable.
So yeah, that just goes to show you, I've never actually fucking died on his sport. I thought if he died, your shit would just... That's crazy. They collect it at the farming guild?
For nothing more than expressing his opinion and having conversations, who was assassinated in cold blood and then gleefully celebrated thereafter from the left. And I hope that as someone who's moderate, you understand why that's so concerning to us on the right. When we host vigils and memorials, and the left is so completely fearless of their own consequences that they kill one of ours and show up to the memorials and vigils and desecrate and vandalize. That is the information that creates the powder keg.
Yeah, yeah.
The only off-ramp would have been, hey, we kept saying that people like Charlie Kirk, by the way, he was much...
Yo, pro tip, by the way, Cujo, if you haven't done so already, put a white berry bush right here. And you fucking teleport with your cloak. You can always just stay here and farm some white berries, and white berries are good for making super defense and fucking ultra compost. Pro tip, pro tip. Pro tip, pro tip.
much more moderate than I am. I am Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun compared to Charlie Kirk, but I will have conversations with anyone. I just want to be very clear. So I know that plenty of people would gleefully celebrate my death, my murder, for doing this exact same thing. The only off-ramp would have been the left saying, look, we've called Donald Trump and his voters and Charlie Kirk and Steven Crowder and whoever on the right, Tucker Carlson, take your pick, Sargon of Akkad, everyone. Ben Shapiro, we've called them fascists, we've called them Nazis, we've said that they want to commit a genocide because they don't want to transition children, we've called them racist because they support the police in an era of defund the police, and my God, people out there actually believe it. It's incumbent upon us to tone this down and say, you know what? They're not fascist. We made these people believe that this guy would never relinquish the reins of power. How do you deal with fascists? You can't do it at a ballot box. If I believed that there was an actual government right now that was executing blacks, as the left has said about the police force, if I believed that there was a leftist government that was actually fascist, that would jail any and all political dissidents, if I believed that the left was committing a genocide against white conservative Christian men, and if I believed that that administration would never host a democratic election again, I'd be out in the streets with a gun. You have a huge portion of Democrats who believe that about Donald Trump and his voters.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you saying that people believe that. Absolutely.
That's very different between the right and the left, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know, Stephen. It feels like it's so polarized right now. It's even hard to find common ground on anything. You know, like, I was just thinking about the sign, and it's that the left is violent.
Yes.
Then when I sit down, it's actually the left is politically violent. And so it's kind of it's a modifier, right? We're modifying our conversation a little bit. And so...
No, what I'm doing is matching the intensity and the rhetoric of the left. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have said the right is violent. The political right is violent. And I'm doing what they are unwilling to do, which is sit down and have a conversation. I don't believe it's nuanced. I believe there's black and white, pretty clear-cut good and evil in this one. I believe there's pretty black and white, clear-cut who's responsible for the political violence. But I will discuss it with anybody. So did Charlie Kirk. And they kill us anyway. So I'm matching their rhetoric that I can fit on a sign, but I'm doing the work that the left is not willing to do and having a conversation. But I don't know where we go from if we have these conversations and short of a brigade coming in, we get assassinated. The left doesn't fear that.
I would disagree, though. I think the left does have their own fears about it. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but I think there's a lot of fear out there. It's just not. It's just different.
The leftist speakers on this campus don't need the same kind of security. They don't.
I'll take note of that. I mean, I've been a student here for 2 years, and I hadn't even paid that much attention. I don't go to a whole lot of events, but I'll take note of that and see what I notice. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Assuming that I'm not lying to you, right, about these polls, and this is one thing, we always, every show that I do, I'm largely a comedian, by the way. I'm an unwilling participant in this. I want to be telling dick jokes in a comedy club.
I do comedy too, actually.
Oh, good, okay. Do you do some around here?
I do.
He's fucking me with magic.
You might know my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. He does a lot of stand-up in Dallas right now. He has a show coming up.
Cool.
Well, let me know. Maybe I'll be able to look it up, and I can't come out and see a show unless I come out with security, but I'd like to see your material. That's actually even another example. A man who works on my show, a man named Josh Firestein, he was a booker.
Yeah, but he
for a
does more
comedy-
damage with range.
Actually, a franchise of comedy clubs. When I performed at the Spokane Comedy Club, it was the first time they ever needed metal detectors and security. He'd been a booker there for many, many years. You had actual registered communists do comedy there. He was shocked and he was ready to hate me. He works for him.
I've never actually taken so much
because he
damage
saw why it was
from
necessary.
Story. Ever.
When you perform on stage, do you need metal detectors?
That's crazy.
Do you need armed security? I have since I was 19 years old doing comedy in clubs.
Okay.
And I don't think I've said anything that necessitates that.
Oh, George was letting me
And
know
I don't have a fucking
I'm sorry.
bucket. Or no,
So how do we
bucket.
fix this then?
Spade.
Oh, I mean, I think we need to have more civil discourse. I think.
Can't do that. We get shot.
Well, we can. We're doing it right now. Let's
With
not
a brigade.
be so pessimistic. But Stephen, come on, we have to change our attitudes about it. We can't constantly fixate on the negative stuff. I know it's important and it matters.
This
but
chick's
we
crazy.
can't-
You can't constantly. Okay, do we get the bucket? Nope. Oh my god, bro. 34 fucking kills, bro. No bucket. 30 fucking 4, bro. You wanna know what I got it on my main? You wanna know what I got it on my main? 1 fucking KC. You wanna know I got on the second KC on my main? Another fucking bucket. Unfucking real, bro. This is killing me. Literally fucking killing me. As I just died. Unfucking real. Starting to kind of like piss me off. I'm gonna go 100 KC dry. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna go 100 KC dry at this fucking.
And just as a
I can do it with $250,000 of security. Most people don't have that.
Most people don't have that. And you talk about like fearing for your life.
Yeah.
I am a female pastor in Deep East, Texas. So on Sunday morning, I wait for that time when someone doesn't like what I said from the pulpit and comes up to me. So I too live with a fear, but it's different for me. And,
Do you have metal detectors and armed security?
we can't afford that at my church. We have an old person that sits at the front and says hi and tries to intervene in a way that would be appropriate of a Christian. We've thought about bringing security to the church. We talked about it.
We literally can't have these discussions on our side unless we have it.
We have security.
It's a necessity.
Yeah.
Smoke up Subways. Someone redeem
And
a
I
fucking
think that's
Coke.
really
I need one really
unfortunate
bad.
that
I'm
it's
waiting.
gotten so bad. The state of our country is so bad that we can't even talk to each other without one side or the other having to provide ridiculous amounts of safety and security that maybe aren't even guaranteed.
No, yeah, it's true.
Right?
And I agree with you. It is terrible that we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
It is terrible that it's exclusively incumbent upon one side to have these types of measures in place. Let me ask you this. Because again, I think that we both abhor political violence.
My
Do you
day
think
was
that
fucking
maybe
dog
when one
shit,
side
Jack.
is being hunted?
You wanna hear what happened? You wanna hear what happened with my fucking day, bro? You wanna hear? You wanna hear? My fucking daughter has been straight up just lying about a bunch of shit. And then today, it like comes to a boiling point. She's at school with this kid. She went to fucking, like, her birthday. My daughter went to this kid's birthday party. Like, fucking, like, a week ago or some shit. They're at school. And my daughter and her get into an argument over a fucking juice box. So my daughter literally kicked the living fucking shit out of her. To the point where there's a fucking handprint in this little girl's fucking face of my daughter's hand. Like, fuck, man. I'm just trying to have a normal fucking day and I get this shit just dropped on me and I'm like, fuck. Just fuck, man. Trying to have a normal fucking day and I gotta deal with this fucking shit. Like, fuck, dude. Don't mess with her juice, but it wasn't even her fucking juice box. That's the thing. It wasn't even her fucking juice box. It was the other girls. Like, fuck, man. Kids, bro. Yeah, for real, man. Like, fuck. Dude, like, this little girl's face is just fucked. Is she deep doo-doo? Oh, yeah. She's big shit. My daughter, yeah, your daughter's 10. Hey, man, enjoy it while it lasts. I think she just had her first period not too long ago, my daughter, so I think she's just, like, very hormonal. But, like, holy fuck, dude. I'm just getting, like, a fucking earful from the mother and shit. It's just like, holy shit, bro. Just shut the fuck up. Like, she's sitting there talking to me, and I'm giving suggestion after suggestion. No, no, no. And it's just like, fuck, why am I even talking? You're not gonna listen to what the fuck I'm saying. Why the fuck even ask? You know, have to discipline her. Take away her phone. Make sure she doesn't have access to the internet. Why would I want to do that? Black Ops 7 can suck my fucking cock, yo. I'll stick with the old games. Women don't like answers, they just want to listen to you bitch. To them bitch. Pretty much, bro. That's what I had to do for my whole fucking break today. I didn't even get a break at work. I get fucking bitched at by my supervisor because I'm spotting too many flaws in the products. They're like, oh, you can't be that nitpicky. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, listen, if the fucking quality isn't there, I'm not gonna pass it and get my ass reamed out by the boss. So I get fucking yelled at by her, and then I go out in my fucking break and I'm getting yelled at by my ex-girlfriend who I don't even give a fuck about. It's just fucked, man. Like, fucking just... And then to top it off, I have some other ex-girlfriend bitch hitting me up, fucking trying to like swindle my ass out of some cash. Like, oh please, Jack, please, I just need $400 fucking dollars. It's like, fuck off, I don't care. Please, I'm gonna go homeless if I don't get this $400. Oh well, maybe you should have fucking, you know, instead of buying a bunch of fucking dope, fucking spent the money on your rent, you dumb cunt. Like. Fuck, dude. It's just driving me crazy today, bro. Just fucking crazy, bro. Fucking sluts, man. Please, Jack, I'm gonna go homeless. Didn't you love me? Like, yeah, at one point, sure, maybe I did, but I don't fucking care anymore, slut. And then like, trying to talk to my daughter, and she's just being a snarky little bitch to me. And I'm just sitting there getting fucking mad talking to her, just the way she's talking. And it's like, alright, you know what? Like, enough's enough. So I just fucking obviously had to discipline her and fucking, like, oh my god. Just listening to her scream and cry on the phone, man. It's just like, Jesus Christ. I don't know, you can't even remember being that age, but fuck, I doubt I was that bad, man. Well, actually, I was a pretty bad kid, so maybe I was, but I don't know. I can't say for certain. I was a pretty bad kid. One of her punishments, like, tomorrow's my birthday, so I was fucking gonna have her come down and we were gonna have like a nice fucking, like, you know, barbecue and all sorts of shit. So I was just like, well, instead of actually like, you know, celebrating my birthday with my daughter now, I'm gonna have to fucking just do whatever the fuck I want to do, I guess. Because there's no way she's gonna sit there and beat the shit out of the kid, and then I'm gonna have her come down and celebrate my birthday with me and like eat a bunch of cake and like get spoiled and shit. Like, fuck that. Fuck, man. Just a fucking headache of a day. Just a fucking headache of a day, man. Like, holy. Honestly, if there wasn't like a fucking bug floating in the bottom of my room, I would have fucking downed that shit in one shot. We could just go blasting people? Yo, seriously. Fuck off. Whoever's messaging me, just suck my cock, man. He's messaging me. Oh, message to myself. That woman would fall back into place, bro. It's just fucking ass backwards. Like, we have the best generation to like do stuff in, but like the worst generation to live through. You know, like the best generation to live in, the worst generation to live through. Women are fucked. Fucking economy's fucked. Like, life all around the globe is fucked. Oh, just me and my fucking oil joints from here on out, boys. Yeah, they're either dead in jail or fucking slaving away for fucking 12 hours a day. I'm just. I don't even fucking know anymore, Jay. I literally just don't even fucking know, man. Don't even fucking know. Yeah, she's not even coming down now, bud. She's not even coming down now. Like, I can't have her come down. Like, you know, it's got to be part of her punishment and shit. Like, no way I'm gonna let her just fucking beat the living shit out of a kid and then fucking come down and have a good time. Like, there's no fucking shot. I have to spend the birthday with JPEGs, pretty much. Might be drunk as fuck, but basically what's probably gonna happen now. And then she goes, you know what she tells my ex-girlfriend too? Yeah, Jay, listen to this. You want to know what she tells my ex-girlfriend? She goes, oh, it's alright. I don't need to go down to Dad's. All he ever does is play video games when I'm down there. And I was like, you lying little fuck. I only play video games at 1 o'clock at night when you're supposed to be fucking sleeping. You lying little fuck. Like... That's literally what she told her mom. And her mom's just like not believing me. And then her mom doesn't believe me. And I was just like, listen, like, ask my fucking parents if you want it. Like, I don't know, you do like playing video games quite often. Well, yeah, just because I like playing video games, it doesn't mean I'm gonna just sit there and fucking play them and ignore my daughter. Like, fuck. I'm just, like, today's just been a fucking shit day, bud. Fucking shit day. Yeah, I should literally have you talk to her. Like, be like, listen, I fucking play with I'm my buddy's Jack's fucking gaming buddy. He's never on when she's down, so actually. All Dad does is just play video games and ignore me when I'm there anyway. Like, fuck, man, I just want to smack the shit out of her when she said that. That's what I'm saying, Jay. That's what I'm fucking literally saying. Like, I'll fucking play RuneScape at like 1 o'clock in the morning and do a farm run and then go to bed or something. You know what I mean? I don't even fucking know, dude. I don't even know.
Let's make no mistake, Charlie Kirk was hunted. When people showed up to my house to try and kill me, I was being hunted. Right? Any conservative here is one viral tweet, one effective video away from being hunted.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we think that when that happens, and we peacefully mourn the loss of one of our peaceful leaders, and we are still approached with violence at memorials and at vigils with desecration, do you think that maybe the both sidesing it, saying it comes from both sides, is actually more harmful than productive? Because it lets the side that's responsible for it off the hook, the clear aggressor?
Do I think it's more harmful to say that it's both sides?
Do you think it would be more helpful to call the left out and say, hey, you guys have been saying fascist, you guys have been saying Nazi, you guys have been saying genocide, sexist, and people believe it, and we're seeing political violence now that we both hate. Do you think that calling them out aggressively, rhetorically, might be more productive than saying, well, I guess it happens on both sides, right now?
No, I don't, because it kind of reminds me of therapy, you know, where it's not necessarily helpful to point the finger in ways that are counterproductive. Not that I'm not opposed to holding people accountable, because that's a different thing.
No, I understand.
So,
maybe let me ask you then this way, where you say pointing fingers. What is the reason that we record crime statistics?
She fight with her siblings?
I don't.
No. No. This is the first time she's ever been like aggressive and beat the shit out of somebody or anything like that. She's like, she's like fucking 70 pounds soaking wet. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Would you agree with the fundamental premise that its primary purpose is risk assessment in determining who's most likely to be victimized? For example, and I hear this from the left, transgender or gay sex workers are more likely to be targets of violence than heterosexual sex workers, right? Those studies have come out, and by the way, those seem to be true. So we go, okay, these people are more at risk. The reason for crime statistics is to assess where the risk exists. Otherwise, it serves no purpose.
Okay.
Would we agree with that?
Fair.
Okay.
Sure. I'll trust your information on this.
Well, it's not information. It's just the reason. This is the why. Why else would we have crime statistics? Why would we record them? There's no reason. Just, okay, crime was committed. There's nothing we can do about it now.
Well, just have a history. I mean, is another potential reason, but sure.
What's the value in a history?
But history's so important, Stephen. Come on.
In what?
History matters. Oh my gosh.
But history is important in what?
In everything, right? History repeats itself, but I think it holds to your point that
Yes.
history matters because you're saying we've seen these
You don't want to repeat
violence events.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't.
You don't want to repeat negative history.
Right,
So we agree.
right,
That's the
right,
reason
right.
for crime statistics. So if we look at those statistics and we look at the polls and we see an overwhelming number of those on the left,
$100 an eighth?
the ratio
Yeah,
6 to
yeah,
1
for real.
support violence compared to those on the right, and we see people being murdered in cold blood. If you are concerned,
For real though, fuck her, man. Fucking $100 an eighth and a blowjob. Let's go. Fuck, only if you knock it down to 80. All right, deal.
conservative, right-leaning in this country, and a public speaker, you are more at risk. How is that pointing the finger? It's identifying the problem and not repeating history, no?
Yes. Well, with data, sure. And data speaks differently than I think sometimes people do.
Sure.
You know, and so I think how data is presented matters a lot.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I really have on that particular thought. Were you wanting?
Well, I think actually, going to that point, the data that's presented, for example, right now in the wake of the assassination, and by the way, not just that, we haven't gone more than 3 days with a serious liberal attack, but a serious leftist attack, meaning in the ideology of the left. You have it right here, ICE, that happened, ICE facility. You had another one in, I believe, is it Alvarado or Alvarado? I don't know the right way to pronounce it. People were shot there.
I was, yeah. I was,
The
yeah.
ABC affiliate. Okay, all right. It's like Houston, and then in New York they go Houston. I'm like, I don't know the rules. So forgive me. And then I have French-Canadian mom, so I mispronounce things because she taught me English.
Nice.
And then we look at the ABC affiliate, Jimmy Kimmel. We haven't gone more than 3 days. That's an acceleration right now. And the problem is, amidst that, the left is saying, actually, there's more political violence coming from the right. And that's the rhetoric we've been hearing, and it's dishonest. In other words, data is being presented to the public deliberately, dishonestly, to victim blame. And that's something that we face too, where if you back people into a corner who are avoiding conflict, who are not violent, there could end up being right-wing violence. And when that happens, it's very ugly, it's very effective, it's very swift. And the only way we avoid that is for the left to take accountability of it and for them to tone down the temperature. And by that I mean, right now, and this is where I show you, I think we both agree on this. So the two sources in the data, I don't care if you see my password, are the prosecution project, that's what's cited in The Economist and NPR, and Cato. These are the ones where they say, hey,
You
right-wing
crack at
violence is
neighbors
more
moving
prevalent.
it?
I'm sure
Nice.
you've heard
Hope we
that.
don't get some Fenty fucking
Let me show you what they
neighbors now.
don't include in the data, because like you said, people speak differently than data. Remember this in Portland?
When was this?
Summer of Love, George Floyd riots. Aaron Danielson, shot point blank dead because he was a Trump voter. And the man, Reinhold, it was Michael Reinhold who shot him, told the cops, I got the Trump supporter, dead. We agree that's political violence?
Yes, of course.
Not a single one of these places cites it. It doesn't exist in their database.
The ones here in your black folder, but not here in this.
No, in there. You have all the sources.
Oh, these ones doesn't.
It's the same thing. The black folder is just those.
Okay.
Yeah. The point is they come from two places. TPP, the prosecution project, or a Cato study, which is reflected
They're
by
at a
the
place?
CSIS as well.
I'll be surprised
Where
if they can
Cato
get
tried to
another
say there's
house.
6 times the amount of domestic terrorism deaths. TPP said right-wing general violence. By the way, all of them agree that in the last year, since Donald Trump has been elected, even now they agree 2 to 3 times more leftist violence than right-wing violence. But that was never included. In other words, when they say there's more right-wing political violence, that's not included as left-wing political violence. You know what else isn't? All the riots, the billions in damages, the 37 dead during the George Floyd riots, the thousands of officers assaulted, the thousands of casualties, that's not included. You know what else is included? Daryl Brooks in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who ran people over in the parade.
Ran people over,
Had an
yep.
exclusive defund the police, Black Lives Matter,
Black Lives Matter,
anti-white,
yeah.
black supremacist
Yeah.
ideology. That's why he killed them. That's
Yep.
not included. I could go through example after example that where you would just as clearly agree that is political violence. I'm not trying to pick a gray one. It exists nowhere. So why do you think that wouldn't be included in the data as left-wing political violence? Because that's the number cited by the left right now to justify it.
Wanted
we
to
have
talk.
so
I mean,
much
at least you're
data
getting paid.
that it's hard to even, especially in the today's. Well, I don't know. That's weird because you're saying in the police recorded call they said
He spoke to the police before they shot him.
So it's on a 911 call. That
So this
they
is
got
on-
the Trumper.
Yeah, he was talking to the police.
This
So
is
there's
police cam video. Or,
this is security camera video, and then I believe there's also police camera video and sworn testimony from the police. But he identified as 100% Antifa.
yeah.
You can look at his social media. He went out there. There are even, I believe, interviews with this man before this was committed where he was talking about enacting political violence.
It's the worst when they're
Did
just
it
like hovering
clear as
over
day.
you watching.
Are you a Trump supporter? Yes, we've got a Trump supporter. Bang, bang, dead. All the studies from left-wing sources don't include that. Is that bothersome?
Yeah, I do think it is bothersome because we need to.
Oh, yeah,
have the
Yankees
facts of
beat
the
the Red
situations,
Sox.
Any situation.
Cubs beat
regardless
San
of where it
Diego.
comes from. And you talked about the
Cleveland lost to
something you
Detroit.
said earlier just reminded me of like the media is not portraying things accurately, and
Right.
that's adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
It's adding so much fuel to the fire.
On that, we agree. And can I ask you, and this is, by the way, there's no wrong answer. This is just an opinion. Why do you think that wasn't included? Why do you think the examples that I gave you, none of them were included? But any example of white on black violence, even if it was a Democrat voter, was listed as right wing. Any attack on a government building, even if it was Antifa, was listed as right wing. Why do you think something that clear
Was not included.
Would it surprise you if the authoritative source that's being cited, the prosecution project, the author of it, was actually arrested himself on January 20th protesting Donald Trump? Committing
Best
crimes.
of five?
And
No,
that
it was
entire
the
day
best of
also omitted.
3 in the wild card.
Probably
The
not.
Remember
Yankees
the
go
Antifa
on to play the Blue
who said we
Jays.
are an organized
Now
group.
it's a best of
We
5.
confront fascists.
And we got home
That's the
fucking
source
field
that gets
advantage,
disseminated
baby.
across. Seems like there might be a bias there. And these sources are being used to victim blame those on the right now. Where do you think those on the right go? Where we go, hold on a second, we're actually sitting down and having conversations, and we've been attacked and in some cases killed.
Right.
And then you came to the memorials and the vigils, and you celebrated it. A majority of people on the left, not all. not
Yankees,
yourself,
Blue Jays,
but
first time
many
they've ever
celebrated
played.
I don't celebrate death
No,
in that way.
but many did, and we both know that we
no,
saw
I
it.
know you're right, and I.
And then you came and blamed us and said we need to tone it down, and told us that we're more violent with clearly dishonest stats.
Yeah.
That's why I say the both sidesing it doesn't help, because you're backing people into a corner, not you, the left, with lies. At a certain point, they're going to push back, and I'm trying to avoid that.
Yeah. So what do you think the answer is then?
I'll tell you what I think the answer is, twofold. One, the leadership of the left and the majority of the left. I think that the majority
Howard.
of people who identify as liberal, the reason you get those numbers 62 to 65,
I was looking,
depending on the
thinking of
day,
going to a game
whether it's
Saturday,
Rutgers
maybe.
or whether it's YouGov, I think they support political violence to varying degrees because they actually believe that those on the right are fascist, are Nazis, are genocidists, are racist, are homophobic, are sexist, because every single member of the Democratic leadership has said so. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Walz, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, every single one has made that comparison. I think it's incumbent upon the left to take accountability, say, look, we have
I
gone
don't know,
too
we're about
far
to look
here.
right now.
This needs to be toned down. Of course, Donald Trump and his voters are not fascists who won't relinquish power, because he can't deal with fascists at a ballot box. And then I think we also need to, states need to.
Home opener, baby. 1 ticket, please. Tickets going fast. View the tickets, cocksucker. General admission. Can I see the tickets? Like. $745 fucking dollars. You fucking smoking crack, buddy? 521 row 15. If it was 521 row 1, yeah. Row 50. $510 row 2, terrible seed. 511. $284, bro, for 500 level series? Like, suck my dick, dude. There's no fucking way, bud. Continue. $1,000. $900 for fucking 500 to level? Like, are you fucked? Buddy, ain't no way. Oh, dude, $800 for that? That's crazy good steal right there. $500 for that? Shit. For this first round exit, try and get their money worth for sure. Lowest price, $200. One ticket, please. 500 bucks. $600. Fuck, it's too much money, bro. Brother. What about this seat right here? What about this one right here? Someone's holding it? What a fucking goober. They're treating that shit like the World Series. Bro, it's fucking Yankees versus Blue Jays. First time ever. What do you expect? What did you expect? These are all just reselled tickets. There's some motherfucker bought these and they're just reselling them. What about Sunday? 4 o'clock. Let's go to like $500. Now we're sitting at good. Row 11 though, bro. Fuck, man. I'm not sitting in row 11. Not sitting. Dude, this looks like a good view. Oh my god. Subtotal 2 tickets? Only want 1 ticket though. Only want 1 ticket. Only want 1 motherfucking ticket. Do I go this Sunday or fucking tomorrow, Jay? Do I go Sunday or for the 4th? Have I been to the same? Like, Game 1. Best seats. Let's just check out the best seats. $4,000 for these seats right here, Jay. $4,000 for this view. Holy fuck. Do I go for the game 5? Dude, do I do the game 5? Holy fuck, Jay. October, Friday, October. Dude, Jay, we're doing the game fucking 5, bud. Oh my fucking god. Those comms are insane. Mm. I want to be like closest to the road. Let's see this view here. Nah, this fucking view is gonna suck. Let's see. Just gonna make it 800 though. Fuck, dude. What happens if they don't? Fuck, that's $700 though, dude, for that seat. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I don't even care. I'll take the fucking day off work. I do not give a fuck. Nah, they're fucking more expensive. Fuck. Phone. Where's my wallet? I'll go grab my wallet. Fuck yeah, baby. Let's go, man. Got my ticket secured. You got 'em. Yeah, bud. Fucking right on. This will be my only playoff game for. This will be my only ever playoff game for the Blue Jays. I've been to the championship game number. Which one was it? Number 1 or 2? I can't remember for the Raptors. Bro, fucking right on, dude. I'm so stoked for that. Bro, that's gonna be what my views looking like right here, bro. Oh, this is literally gonna be my view right here, Jay. Oh shit, baby. This is gonna be fucking lit. This would have been good seats too. What? Yeah, I like the ones I got more. Buddy. This is gonna be a fucking goodie. Right behind the Blue Jays dugout. Holy shit. 3K right there? Yeah, right. Dude, I'm stoked. I'm ready to fucking rock and roll, man. Alright, it says I can get a refund, so shit, if they don't go. Yo, what's up, Limbo? I just bought a fucking playoff ticket, man. I'm stoked. The first time I've ever had the chance to go to a playoff game for the Jays. Yeah, bro, I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked. Hopefully they make it, bro. Because if they do make it to that far, it's gonna be like, you know, game 5. That's basically game 7, basically. Because it's only a 5-game series. Yup. And if they don't make it, then I just get my money back. It's like no loss, you know. I'll talk to that. He says tomorrow. Bro, I hope it makes it to the 10th. Fuck, I got killer seats too, bro. Like right behind first base. Like, oh fucking yes.
Let's assume that I'm not lying to you about all of it, okay? Then you say it might be a fringe minority who say fascist, for example, who say racist. Here would be my challenge to you. Name me one member of the Democratic Party in a national position of leadership, one who's run for office, either been president, vice president, or
I
ran
think
for the
it'll go
office,
5 too. They've been neck and neck all year.
accuse our side of being fascist, of comparing us to Hitler. Name me one.
No.
My fans, I have arrived. Me too.
Welcome to part 2 of this installment of Change My Mind. The premise, the left is violent. Click the link in the description to see the entire hour-and-a-half first installment from yesterday.
They split. Canada takes the Canadian games. New York takes the New York
Now,
games.
before these, it had been more than a few moons, years, since I was last on campus, and for obvious...
And you know what, bro? I swear to God, if I fucking get to game 5, I'm taking a big sign that says J-Ski. I'll take a giant ass sign that says J-Ski. You're gonna have to watch the game. I swear to God. On my life.
reasons. It was an ever-increasing risk that required more security, and a lot of students were carrying this on and doing it themselves on campus. But as a lot of that stopped, as a semi-reluctant participant, felt compelled to bring this back. Luckily, this go-around, the team around me was top-notch. I can't thank them enough. Was basically a small army. And we were able to do it in this climate with minimal risk. That means no prior announcement. That means really no interaction with the crowd that can get riled up. And in a lot of ways, that's what Change My Mind was originally meant to be. It's two people sitting at a table, having a genuine conversation where hopefully no one feels pressured to be performative. The true goal by the end of this is that someone maybe actually changes their mind. Maybe me, usually not, but maybe. And the good news is the pop-up crowd was respectful, and the conversation
was highly productive.
What part of progressivism do you think comes with that? I mean, like
Racial
I'm sure
division,
yeah.
gender division, classist division.
Right.
I mean, you don't see the right saying, hey, these people are fascist and they want to genocide you.
No. I think that's
Okay, well, mostly.
When Marx wrote his communist ideologies, it was conservative based.
Now I know out of context that may seem pretty bad, but if you click the link in the description to yesterday's full hour-and-a-half installment, you'll see that in context, it's worse. But I do appreciate her willingness to sit down and talk. And I was hoping that part 2 would be just as productive. And in a lot of ways, it was. And in some ways, it was not.
It seems like
If the Phillies play the Dodgers, that's going to be an insane series, bro. It's two powerhouses just fucking bashing each
I don't think
other.
that's the case.
But
That's
assuming
not
I'm not
my
lying,
experience.
right?
Two fucking powerhouses just going right at it, bud. It's going to be one of the a series for the ages, man. I swear to God. Series for the ages, bro, right there. On fucking God. You think Dodgers for sure, bro. They're insane. The Dodgers are literally just nuts. But they're just neither here nor there. Everybody's gonna be pissed. Yeah, the Dodgers are looking good, dude. Like, real good.
You're lying. I don't think you're lying.
No, but I'm assuming I'm not lying.
So sit back, perhaps grab a tasty beverage, if you will, and enjoy what was mostly a constructive Change My Mind. And of course, you can tune in to the daily show, live streamed on Rumble, every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's really my bread and butter. And this is the first comeback of Change My Mind. Do you want to see more of these? It's up to you. Let me know in the comments. First up, here's Jacob.
If Dodge and Blue Jays play, who
Hey, Jake.
wins?
Nice to
I
meet
mean,
you,
they
sir.
played earlier this year, and they split the series. Actually, I don't know if they did split the series. Let me not talk shit. The Jays won the first game, got Keller out. Okay, we didn't split the series. My money would be on the Dodgers. My money would be on the Dodgers.
Grab a seat. And do you mind moving in so I can hear a little bit?
I don't mind at
Don't get cozy. Get cozy. Come on, move on in. So, Jacob, you prefer Jake?
Jacob's good.
Okay. I don't know how familiar you are with this segment or this kind of piece of content, what we do. Let me explain to you first what it's not.
Sure.
And I mean this genuinely. It's not gotcha. It's not designed for reels, clips, dunks, owned. Our conversation will be uploaded in its entirety. The ideal scenario is that we actually have a productive civil discussion. That's not always possible.
I mean, that's what I would like. So.
Yeah, okay, good. The premise today is, and I would assert, that predominantly the left is responsible for a large portion of the political violence in this country and the tenor and tone to a point that I think needs to be dealt with, or certainly at least conversationally. That's not to say that there isn't political violence across the board, but again, predominantly coming from the left. And if you disagree with me, you are more than welcome to change my mind. If you wouldn't mind, just when we start, I just want to make sure that we go through right here the definition, and just if you agree to the definitions of political violence from The Economist and Cato.
Cat Dog's mad in love with me, I swear.
So in effect, the idea
I'm not sure if I understand this.
Likewise, though.
Okay, and we're using this because these are often the numbers that are being cited right now from The Economist, the TPP Project, and Cato. Basically, violence committed in the name of or as a political means to an end. Right?
Even if it's just a complaint or an indictment and they haven't been convicted or it hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah, political violence, acts of violence being committed, right? I understand too if there are charges, convictions, are different, but we agree as far as in principle, political violence. For example, I don't know how you vote, but let's say you vote Democrat and you hit and run today.
Okay.
That's not political violence just because you vote Democrat, right?
Of course.
But if you were to go run someone over because they are a Republican or vice versa, that would be political. Do we agree?
I
You're
agree.
gonna be loving
Okay.
it.
And on
You're
that-
gonna be loving the PC. Also, we have Amazon Prime Day. It's gonna be on the 8th, Donald. So if there's like, if you need any new things for it, a monitor or something like that, then you might be able to get it
Okay.
on the 8th. Get it on sale on Amazon.
Okay.
Canadian, what's up? Hey, no worries, Vortex. You're always free to stop back in, but yeah, that's good. Good, you've been busy taking care of
Oh,
yourself.
what the hell? He's got his fucking thing on.
Hell yeah.
He got his webcam on. What the fuck?
Yeah, that sucks. I think if we get labs as a landing spot, it's like the same as Fight Night. We gotta push swamps or take the portal out of there.
Ugly looking motherfucker. Next time I stream. Okay, I'm gonna do this quest. I've been jerking my cock for too long here. You're a good freaking guy, J-Ski, no cap, son. Likewise, Jay. Likewise, my dude. My dude. Stay up way too late bullshitting in here every night. I just stay up way too late in general, dude.
That was Aaron Danielson, and that was a Mr. Michael Rhino in Portland. That wasn't listed according to the current stats as political violence because the police shot him before there was a guilty conviction.
Okay.
We would agree, though, that's political violence, right?
I would agree, based on what you're telling me. And again, I just want to clarify.
Sure.
What you're saying is these acts of political violence are done disproportionately by the left
Yes.
compared to the right.
As a method, yes.
Okay. I mean, maybe I don't disagree with that. I mean, the sign out front just said the left is violent,
Sure.
which I don't agree with, especially as a whole. I mean, I think there are a lot more incidents of peaceful protest and moderate and people who are on the left who, yeah, I mean, it's a very, very small, isolated segment, and we're talking about.
But what if you were
a
wrong about
handful.
that?
Pick your poison,
What if I was
fucking a little
wrong
bit of
that
both,
most
bud.
people who lean left or
A little
on
bit
the
of both
left
skis,
are
J
peaceful.
skis.
What if I
Only
were to
thing
tell
is,
you
whenever the Yankees are
that
playing,
a majority of today's political left view violence against either
Tomorrow at
political
4:08.
adversaries, people of political
4:08.
persuasions, as acceptable, as somewhat to complete.
Well,
what if it's
that's
over
different.
62%?
That's-
Somewhat to completely acceptable. What if those on the left
4:08.
actually support political
Who the fuck-
violence
what?
at a ratio of 5 to 12 to 1 to conservatives. What if that was a fact? It doesn't mean that you are, but it, again, would be reflective of the whole of the left, much more so than the right.
What?
If that was a fact,
The Mariners have the
you would
late
support
game?
what you're saying.
Get the fuck
I
outta
don't, not
here.
trying to say that doesn't exist. I mean, I would be
No, I know.
skeptical if I saw
What?
something as to what you
The
said.
fuck are
like
these
62%. I think there's no way that 62% of people who vote left, who believe left, support violence. Have I seen instances? You know,
So it's a recent YouGov poll.
How the
YouGov,
fuck are
not a
the
conservative
Dodgers-
poll.
dude.
77% of
This year is all
self-identified
fucked
conservatives said political violence is unacceptable always. Okay?
Only 77?
77. Only 38% of leftists. 62% answered somewhat to completely acceptable. Some answered I don't know. And then there was another snap poll before that had, again, at a ratio of 6 to 1, self-identified liberals supporting political violence in comparison to conservatives. It doesn't mean you or all, but if we're comparing those demographics, it is stark, it is consistent. I could point you to another one after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Over 60% of the left said it is somewhat to completely acceptable.
I mean, again, I'd love to, see these polls, and if those are representative, I totally agree with you. I don't think it's okay to support political violence. I'm honestly a little shocked at how low the conservative, like if only 77%, I would have think it'd be like 99%.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be 99% of the left according to your premise, right? But it's 38.
I think, well, that is what I would think, and it's not been my experience that most people who are on the left do support political violence. I will say, and this has troubled me, is I have seen members of the left support, for example, Hamas. I have seen members of the left not condemn Charlie Kirk assassination or who have spoken out as being happy about it. I just don't think that is a majority of the population. I would be very curious to see these polls, but
Matter of fact,
that's
do we
not
have,
been my experience. And
So someone, one second, can we have the QR, because we actually have a QR code so you can see all the sources.
That'd be great.
Yeah, great. They should have had that earlier.
I can look at this later. I mean, we're just here.
No, but I want to give it to you so you can access it. And by the way, I do think, just to be clear, I think that your heart is in the right place, and I think you're honest.
You got 44,
in
dude,
that
on
this is
free
your
to play is
perspective because
nuts.
You probably think it's abhorrent, as I do, political violence.
Right.
Fucking animal.
And here's why we're having this conversation, okay? For example, see, we have bulletproof glass and basically a small platoon here.
Yeah, it's scary.
I can imagine it is. But before this last event, people would have argued it's unnecessary. And we've had to take increasing security measures. I can tell you that the reason I stopped doing this for years is because every single time, there was some serious violent action carried out. There were rocks thrown, concrete milkshakes, people trying to slash tires, Molotov cocktails, and no one would listen. There's a reason that Charlie Kirk had security before.
We're gonna be
he
ready
was
to go,
assassinated,
yeah.
right?
You're just
There were
gonna have to
lot
do a bunch of
close calls, and you saw
questions.
the one that
Began
got
level
through.
left and right.
And the rhetoric was always, you're fine until you shed blood.
Look, I completely agree. I mean, there's definitely extreme political violence. I've seen it happen. The whole country just saw it happen. I just think
But can I
put
just
on
finish
a
that
sign
one point?
that the entire left
Yeah.
is violent.
No, the
I
left
think
is
it's
violent as an ideology and as a majority, which you'll see with the stats that I present to you. But here's the thing, and this is a genuine concern. There's no off-ramp here. Let me explain to you what I mean. I think we both want to avoid any type of civil war or serious conflict,
Of course.
right? We both
I
do.
don't think we're close to that.
I'll tell you why I think.
Yeah,
it
the
could
red
be in the
road's
cards
just
in
like
the
the
next
quickest
decade.
path to where I
Okay,
need
and
to
I've
go.
not said this before these last 2 years. There was only one
I don't have
off-ramp.
teleports. This is like one
when
of the most cancer
left,
spots to get
a
in
member
the game.
of the left assassinated
Going
Charlie
here.
Kirk in cold blood in the name of political leftism, of radical trans ideology leftism, right? Justified it through Charlie Kirk being hateful, which he's not, him being prejudiced, which he's not. The only off-ramp would have been if the leadership on the left, and if the majority of the left said, hey, look, this has gone too far. We've labeled these people fascists, Nazis, racists, genocidists because of their trans policy. And my God, some people out there are actually believing it. We're sorry, let's tone it down. Instead, there was a very surprising, gleeful celebration thereafter. And you can say not all the left, but every single vigil, every single memorial, every single mural that was put up was desecrated, spit on. There were assaults from the left when people on our side, and by that I mean conservative Christian America by and large, have one of ours attacked, and then they pursue our spaces to honor the dead and celebrate,
Not the
that
yellow
tells us,
brick
oh,
road.
there are too many.
So you think because of this, you think we're trending towards some kind of civil war, civil conflict?
I can tell you this, I have a pretty large sample size, and this would be anecdotal in addition to the empirical. Since COVID, I would say that's number 2. I never saw more people change their political persuasion outside of COVID in my lifetime. People who were self-identified liberals who couldn't send their kids to school, right? They thought, okay, it's going too far. I've never had more people reach out and say, I was so shocked at the celebration and justification, the assassination of Charlie Kirk from who I thought were moderate liberal friends, that I've had to delete them from social media. I can't be included amongst
Who
them.
the fuck is this
There's
guy?
an exodus taking place because of the reaction. And you can't point me to an example like that on the right. It doesn't exist.
Look, I mean, you're making good points. I don't see how this is leading
Jesus
to civil
Christ,
war,
bro.
but I totally agree with what you're saying. I've seen people have the exact reaction that you're discussing. I think it's wrong. In my experience from anecdotal evidence, that's why I'm curious to see the empirical studies, I don't think that represents a majority of the left. The incidents you're talking about memorials being desecrated, this is.
And you've seen it, right?
I've seen it, but this isn't coming from like the Democratic leaders. Like this isn't coming from the majority
Sure it is.
of.
Sure it is.
I wouldn't say you're
Sure.
saying Democratic leaders.
Yeah, let me explain to you. Charlie Kirk was killed because people actually believed that he was a fascist. And Gavin Newsom just said it about the Republican Party and Stephen Miller not more than 24 hours ago.
So you would blame the leaders for saying these
I would
things?
I
and
would say they're
inciting-
responsible. If they are going to say that Donald Trump's rhetoric is responsible for Black Lives Matter, which preceded him by 2 to 3 years under Barack Obama, I certainly would say the ongoing rhetoric from the left that Republicans and Donald Trump are racist, that they are fascist, comparing them to Nazis, Hitler, that they are genocidists because they don't believe that children should train. I think that rhetoric, because let me ask you this, the people who've committed this violence, for example, right here at ICE, Charlie Kirk, right, Antifa, this man you just saw, they believe that Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump,
Oh my God.
If that's true, how do you deal with fascists? If half the country believes that we're fascists, how do you deal with fascists?
Let
You
me
got
do it at the
RuneScape
ballot
shorts
box.
because you watch me
Break
play
this
so
down
much?
all the time, 'cause that
It's a
was-
good thing. It means you'll learn something.
First thing, I think you can't 100% blame people for the things that they say, inciting violence. People have their own agency and their own decision
No,
making.
they campaign on them. It's the DNC campaign
Well, I
platform.
appreciate
Some
that.
fascism, not
Some-
Kamala Harris,
there-
Joe Biden, Gavin Newsom. You can't name one. Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders. Fascism, comparisons to Hitler. They say that we want to oppress blacks. They say we want to erase trans people.
Oh, there's a new crossbow that shoots a tick
I-
faster.
I've seen it happen. It happens occasionally. I don't think the majority of Democratic leaders say this or believe this, and even some of the ones who do maybe not believe it. But if we're just talking about rhetoric,
no.
What if they all do?
dangerous.
What if they all do?
If we're talking about rhetoric being dangerous and
Yeah.
inciting violence, I mean, I think the right shares some blame in that too. I don't think the right is completely without blame for speaking poorly of the other side. Like, I mean, Donald Trump is certainly not the the idol or the model of manners or not being.
Manners are
rhetoric.
different from labeling your opposition as fascists who won't relinquish the reins of power. Ergo, you need a violent revolution.
But here's my point.
Yeah.
My point is, yes, some Democratic leaders have said things, have called other people fascists, have called them racist. Some people on the right as well have said things about members on the left, have called them communists, have called them socialists, similar type of rhetoric. And I don't think
it's
right,
similar.
I don't think it's right to blame the leaders for violent acts that a small minority of extreme supporters commit. I don't think that means the entire party is violent. I don't think that means that the leadership is violent. I think there are simply a small group of extremes. And I agree with you. Are we seeing it more from the left than from the right? I think we are. I think if I were to do some research, I'm sure I would be able to find some acts of political violence coming
Absolutely.
from the right.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
But maybe there are more from the left, and that is what I've seen, and I agree with you there.
I appreciate your
But
honesty.
I do not agree that it is the entire Democratic Party, that it is the leadership of the left, that it is the belief of the majority of the left that these acts are okay. I know there is a higher percentage of.
Sorry, I know this bug keeps coming. It's a bitch, isn't it? Sorry.
I've definitely seen people from the left and Democrats who have not condemned what happened to Charlie Kirk and have not condemned these political acts of violence, who have not condemned what's going on in Israel.
No, but
I don't think the majority.
Okay,
of the
but what
left
if? Let's assume I'm not lying to you. Okay, let's assume that there's a YouGov poll. Let's assume there's a Reuters poll.
Okay.
Let's assume that you've got 62% somewhat to okay. Let's assume that you have a 6-to-1 ratio of political violence being okay from the left. Let's assume that after Donald Trump's the attempted assassination, that over 60% of the left said that violence against Donald Trump would be somewhat to completely justified. Let's assume that I'm not lying to you about after the Tesla bombings that a majority of the left said it would be somewhat to completely justified in contrast to Republicans. Let's assume that I'm not lying to you about all of it, okay? Then you say it might be a fringe minority who say fascist, for example, who say racist. Here would be my challenge to you. Name me one member of the Democratic Party in a national position of leadership, one who's run for office, either been president, vice president, or ran for the office, who hasn't accused our side of being fascist, of comparing us to Hitler. Name me one.
I mean, this is tough for me to answer because I'm not like super familiar. I couldn't even name that many
don't exist.
Political leaders, but I'm very certain if I looked hard enough, I would find Democratic leaders who have not called other people fascists, who have not called other people racist. I have seen a lot of them, and again, I've seen on social media, and like obviously I've seen the usual suspects doing it. But
like Biden, Kamala Harris, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer. Every single one of them has lobbed the fascism accusation against Donald Trump and his voters.
I agree with you, and I've seen that. I'm just saying there are 530-something members of Congress. I am 100% sure that there is a Democratic one there. That
I'm sure there is one.
Well, right. I just don't know their name because I haven't.
But you can't point me to a single person in the right. Go Donald Trump, Vance, all the way down, who've said, "Hey, by the way, they're never going to relinquish power. The enemies are fascists who can't be dealt with at the ballot box." You can hear Donald Trump say shitty things.
Specifically, but I've seen comparable things said from Donald Trump.
Like?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but he has definitely not been the model of rhetoric. And again, part of this rhetoric, I mean, it's politics. It's people appealing to their base. It's people appealing to
everything besides
some
the
of
pebble.
the extreme members. Because also, you got to remember that most people don't even come out and vote. It's like 30-something% of people who've come out and vote.
It depends on the year.
It depends on the year.
I think it's been closer to 50 in recent years.
The people who vote are usually tend to feel very strongly and tend to be more extreme.
Sure.
So these leaders, they, from a practical perspective, have to appeal to these more extreme voters, which is why it seems like it's a higher percentage of these parties on both sides which have these extreme views.
I don't think
that's the case.
But assuming I'm not lying, right? Would all those polls reflect?
I don't think you're lying.
No, but I'm assuming I'm not lying.
Polls.
But let's assume that those polls exist, right? Let's assume that you take this QR code and you go,
I assume they do exist.
Damn,
I just don't know if they're representative.
Okay.
Difference between that, you could poll 100 people and you can poll a different 100 people. You can poll
well,
100
how many
people at
polls would you
SMU.
need of self-identified liberals versus self-identified from left-leaning polling sources? How many would you need to go? And I think you've already agreed that it's predominantly coming from the left. Mm-hmm. I guess at this point what we're talking about is, okay, if we both agree that there is more violence coming from the left right now, right now, and I think we agree on that.
Well, more political violence.
More political violence from the left. Yes,
sure.
Right now. I think we agree on that.
Yes.
It begs the question, why? Right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that it's productive to kind of both sides that, because it's not a both sides. It's a disproportionate percentage on one side. Also, I think, if we both, for example, you and I can find common ground. I think this has been hopefully respectful.
I think so too.
You seem like a very nice gentleman. This right here, not listed in the stats, right? Because right now the media also goes out and says there's more violence on the right wing, which obviously you don't.
I
not buying.
Seen that.
That's not registered as.
I'm not like watching.
No, but that's not registered as political violence. Isn't that crazy to you? Cato.
If what you say is true, then yes,
it is true.
That should be registered as political violence. I agree.
It's not. Nor the Summer of Love, the George Floyd riots, none of those deaths, none of the arsons, the January 20th protests where people were arrested right after Donald Trump became president, none of those included as political violence. The problem is, and you say, and I hope that we can find common ground. I hope we have an off-ramp to some kind of civil upheaval, genuinely. But when one side gets backed into a corner where they need security to go out and express their opinion for sitting at a table, when one side says, hey, hold on a second, we are effectively being targeted and hunted if we are public figures, or, for example, even if we're not public figures, if we're working at an ICE facility, we're working at a police precinct, and something needs to be done, and people go, no, it's both sides. And then you have the media saying, actually, it's the right who's more politically violent. You back them into a corner, and I think you know what the end game is there. And so I hope that you do spend time.
I don't know what the end game is there.
The end game there is if people are at the receiving end of political violence and it's gleefully celebrated thereafter, and then they are accused of committing the political violence, they're going to start not just defending themselves, they're going to start fighting back. And I hope it doesn't come to that.
I hope they fight back peacefully or in the proper channels.
You can't ask them to fight back peacefully if they're being killed in record numbers. That's the issue. If they're being killed and assaulted in record numbers, and that's the reason for this, is we need to deal with this problem. We need an off-ramp.
So what's your solution to the political violence seemingly coming from the left?
Well, I can tell you this: there is no solution until there's a structural changes to the makeup of the Democrat Party. In other words, you can't have over 60% in poll after poll after poll supporting some kind of political violence. You can't have the Summer of Love in those riots. You can't have the Tesla bombings. You can't have Charlie Kirk and people coming out and people in the Democratic Party saying, well, even though I condemn the violence, he was hateful. He wasn't. His rhetoric. That needs to change for us to be able to find common ground. It needs to come from the left. The left needs to tone down the temperature, and they need to take ownership and apologize, and they haven't. That means the leadership, and that means anyone who went out there and justified or celebrated the murder of Charlie Kirk. There needs to be such a chorus from, let's assume that you're more left-leaning. It's not enough to not condone political violence. You have to be championing that cause in your own ranks, because we're not seeing it. That's the only way.
So you would like to see from the Democratic leaders some sort of
everyone
condemnation, apology,
accountability.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do we stop this, violent rhetoric, or the kind of rhetoric that's inciting violence?
Well, that would be the left. The left needs to stop it, right?
The leaders can come out and they can condemn it and they can apologize, but assuming these polls are correct, how do we change the 62% who are okay with political violence?
Well, right now, again, this is why the why matters. The reason that you have 62 and some polls 60 and some polls more is because of the leadership and the temperature in the Democrat Party. So that alone maybe brings it down to 50. It doesn't bring it down to conservative levels, but it brings it down pretty low. And then the left needs to be on board with such harsh on crime policies and realities. For example, before Charlie Kirk, we had Irina Zarutska, right? There in North Carolina, the woman who was stabbed.
I don't know about that.
White woman who was stabbed by a black man who was released 14 times. Stabbed her on a subway. She bled to death in plain view.
Was that was political violence you're saying? Or
no, what I'm saying is political violence thrives in blue districts where you have catch and release and IOU, no cash bail policies. This guy was released on an IOU, deemed mentally unfit to stand trial by a leftist judge, by a leftist court system, 14 times. Do you know the average amount of times that a murderer has been released before they commit a murder?
I do not.
11.
11. I would have to see something on that.
Yep. Again, the QR code will make all of it available. So the left not only foments violence through rhetoric, but then they also facilitate it by soft on crime policies with the same rhetoric, because keeping people behind bars, having actual bail needed to be posted, is considered racism. Every single proposal that comes from the right is racist, it's fascist, it's sexist, it's homophobic, it's transphobic, and now we have people dying. So those two things need to change. Crime policy and the rhetoric from the top down.
Okay.
Do you think that would make a difference?
I mean, I personally support some of the crime changes you're discussing. I guess I do have a follow-up question, which is, you mentioned that...
And there's a QR code, by the way, with the sources.
That an average murderer is released 11 times.
Yeah.
Is there, do those murderers commit more, acts of violence when they're released? Is there some kind of statistics on that? Because, does that actually lead...
Well, I mean, they've been brought in for serious crimes 11 times.
But are they, when they're released, are they under house arrest? Are they under, they're not committing more crimes when they're on trial?
Well, I would imagine between crime 6 and 7, and between crime 7 and 8, they're committing more crimes all the way up to 11. I think we can agree on that, right? That's pretty self-explanatory.
I mean,
this guy was released 14 times, including already committing armed robbery. And this is not the only example. You know George Floyd?
What about him?
9 times. He robbed the woman at gunpoint with her daughter in the house. This was a serial violent criminal.
Right.
Who had no business being on the streets. I'm just picking it because it's an example of someone you would know.
Right. I mean, I'm totally with, you know, the justice system and
locking them
all
up.
these.
If they commit violent crimes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I
lock
agree.
them up.
If you're convicted of a violent crime, then you should be convicted according to, you know, whatever the state's penal code is. And
the problem is the states where leftists are in charge is very soft. You don't need to have any.
But you think the solution to political violence and the problem with the left right now is we need the left and the right to work together on crime policies? No, you don't.
No, not on the. Well, first on the crime policies. Here's what needs to happen. Before that, the rhetoric. The left needs to take full ownership and accountability. Okay, and not just the leadership, but people like you who seem like decent people. We need to see you calling out your own the same way you would see conservatives call out their own here if someone were to be violent. We need to see that rhetoric be toned down and changed completely. We're not fascist, we're not racist, we're not transphobic, we have disagreements of opinions.
I agree with you.
And then as far as crime, we need to go back to the crime policies that we had that worked and the left altered. We don't need to work together. We need the left, these judges, these DAs, to go back to punishing crime.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Isn't crime sort of a state issue? I mean, you have state judges, you have state penal codes. These state judges are elected by popular vote. What is the federal government? What can the left even do? What can we even do?
So that would need to come from those in charge in these blue districts. For example, these judges who let people go 10, 15 times. For example, in New York, where DAs, there's no cash bail, there's catch and release. It's literally an IOU. Hey, will you come back to court even though you committed armed robbery? Yeah, I promise I will. Free to go, and they murder somebody. The left needs to fix this. We can't. Because you don't have the same political violence on the right, and you don't have the same revolving door of crime in red districts. These are facts, and it's not working, and people are getting tired of it. So those would be the two solutions. But here's a QR code, if you'd like to look it up. And Jacob, I really do appreciate you sitting down and having a civil discussion.
I appreciate you having me on.
And please do go, anytime you see it, condemn it, and let people see you condemning those kinds of actions. Because I think you can make at least you can make a big impact in your circle of friends. I mean it.
All right.
I mean it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Be well.
You know what? Jacob's all right by me. That was a solid conversation, even though we didn't agree on every detail, or maybe even most details. You can tell that he sat down in good faith. Has a good head on his shoulders. Heart seems like it's in the right place. We were able to engage. And up next was this strapping young gentleman, Connor from San Francisco. I know what you're thinking, but it's not entirely that. Hear him out.
So the premise that I'm asserting today, discussing is, of course, there's violence that takes place on all sides.
Right.
But the tenor, tone, temperature today, the increasing, we haven't gone more than 3 days with a serious violent attack.
I agree. Yeah.
Is predominantly coming from the left. That's not by accident, and it's becoming unsustainable for us as a country. If you disagree, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
So I guess just to quickly clarify, I can agree that there's been significantly more, at least from my perspective, violence on the left as of late, 100%. But throughout history, I think there's been violence that has occurred from right-wing ideology, left-wing ideology.
It has.
And so I wonder what's the line, just to kind of clarify before I get into my main claim, of what's the difference between there being violence on the left and then the left as a whole being violent? I guess that's where I want to understand the line.
Well, that's fair. And before you get to a claim, because we have a lot of people make claims outside of the topic, I do want to try and stay on the topic today. An act of violence would be, for example, someone on the left, Charlie Kirk, being assassinated. Would we agree?
Absolutely.
Leftist violence. Okay. Here's the reason that this is such a boiling point, is because not only a non-elected official, Charlie Kirk, was assassinated in cold blood publicly, directly inspired by the rhetoric of the leadership from the left, the mainstream leadership from the left, to be clear, fascist, Nazi, right? If he's a fascist and a Nazi, then I'm Himmler, because he was much more moderate than I am.
Right.
Don't let the demeanor fool you. I will sit down and talk with anyone, but I am not moderate by any means. And then so the gleeful celebration thereafter. I can tell you, I've never seen more people leave the left. COVID would be number 2. People said, I didn't realize that my friends would celebrate this kind of bloodlust. And then poll after poll, for example, after the assassination in cold blood of Charlie Kirk, the YouGov poll showed that 77% of self-identified conservatives opposed political violence in all forms, only 38% of liberals.
Right.
And there were other snapshot polls that show that the left supports political violence in one degree, from varying degrees, at a ratio of 6 to 1 to conservatives. And after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, over 60% of those on the left said that it was somewhat to completely acceptable. You do not find an equivalent on the right. Does that answer your question?
To an extent, I think I guess where I kind of want to further clarify is, so I can agree that the current climate and the current rhetoric has definitely pushed people towards violence. But I think we can agree that certain ideas can exist outside of the current climate, right? Like certain maybe things in the left are like
higher marginal tax rates.
Higher marginal tax rates, or maybe like someone being like, let's say, pro-gay marriage, or just some traditionally left-wing policies in the current climate.
I would say that progressivism and leftism is inherently violent as an ideology because seizing the means of production and distribution requires force in comparison to traditional conservatism. But yes, the ideals, for example, can exist outside of violence. Yes.
Okay, I guess that clarifies it. And I guess then I want to ask, because I'm a Christian myself, I know you are as well.
Yeah.
I watch your show, and I was really, really frustrated with the whole Charlie situation. I was kind of distraught about it, and I didn't know how to kind of move forward. And I know you said on your show that as the right, we need to have, correct me if I'm wrong, righteous, lawful violence against people who want to perpetrate, events like this. And I guess I just wonder, how do we deal with that to be firm and call a spade, but then also not incite our own rhetoric back? Because I think that I can see how. I'm from San Francisco, so
I'm sorry.
It's okay. First,
how many poop piles have you had to physically avoid, or are you far away from downtown, just the Bay Area?
I'm in the city, but I'm not close to downtown, so I'm a little bit away from it. But actually, the first political video I ever watched was your video over here at SMU. So,
oh, okay.
And I didn't even know, but so.
All right.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, where is that line? Because I do worry, again, as someone who wants to be Christian, wants to, evangelize and bring people to my point of view.
Yeah.
How do I do that without, again, being like ostracizing, I guess?
Sure. I'll tell you where the line is right now. It's the law.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, and I've talked with people about this quite a bit, and Charlie did his own thing in his own version, which was very different, but I started this in 2016, 2017. Right. There are really only two people who know what it's like to be in that chair.
Right.
Even though they're different, but I'm saying it's the most comparable thing. And this is not the first time we've had to have this kind of security.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, we had a highlight reel of the attacks, the rocks, the punches, the milkshakes. And here's the thing. There have been times in the past where I have put myself and my team at risk when I would have been well within my lawful rights to not. And what I'm saying is, you're from, so you may not be super familiar with hockey. Do you?
A little bit.
Okay.
I've seen a few games.
So let me draw an analogy for you. What I'm talking about is within the bounds of the law. And the term I used, I believe my words were ruthless, lawful violence in defense of our own.
I said righteous on accident.
No, it was worse. I said ruthless.
Okay.
And I don't run from it, and I stand by it. Changing the temperature and tone. So the last time we were at SMU, or that first time I should say, one of the camp.
There Are Two Genders Changed My Mind? Was that one?
I believe so.
Okay.
SMU was one of the first ones. That was some of the first ones I was with a sandwich board and a morph suit because it didn't start on campus.
Yeah, I remember you'd walk around with it.
Yeah, and then I had someone shove me and I was like, I can't defend myself. I'm basically a mascot. There was someone who worked there at SMU who said, why do these guys, this was back then, why do these guys need all this kind of security? My dad was my security back then.
Really? I know that.
He said, Maya Angelou spoke here, she didn't need that. And my dad said to him, he said, and why do you think that is?
Yeah.
And you could see his face change. And he got it, and he said, we'll get you what you need.
Right.
Then, unfortunately, we had faculty, and we had people in the administration who made us move. That put us at risk.
Yeah.
We had the right to be there. We had people come up and commit acts of violence. We had people pick up rocks. I don't know if it was SMU, TCU, UNT, try and hit me over the head with it. And what we did was we said, hey, please stop. We would move locations.
Right.
And I've had members of my team assaulted as a result. And what I'm saying is we need to change the tenor and tone. Let me really clarify this. Hopefully this helps. I hope that people out there like, what's his name, Destiny?
Yeah.
I hope that he's able to do his copycat, change my mind with no security as he does now for the rest of his life.
Right.
And I've never called anyone to go commit acts of violence.
Right.
I want them to be deathly afraid of coming into our group and assaulting our own.
Right.
I feel like a shepherd, an unwilling shepherd, who didn't do his best to protect his flock.
Right. And would you sort of lean on, I know Charlie talked about this a lot, but the commandment of, it's not thou shalt not kill, it's thou shalt not murder. And so you're saying that we should again, be able to use the law. You're just saying to defend.
What I'm saying is today,
Yeah.
if someone lifts a rock to come hit me over the head, he won't be asked to put it down. He'll be tackled.
Right.
And if there are enough of those, there'll be less rocks being thrown. For the same reason that we see lower gun crime in areas where we have higher gun ownership.
Right.
Let me use an example for you, hockey. So I don't know if you know this, but in hockey, there were people who were called enforcers for a long time. They didn't score any goals their entire career. They just fought. And it was very important. Here's why.
Yeah.
Because let's say Wayne Gretzky, he wouldn't allow himself to be traded unless he had Dave Semenko and I believe McSorley traded with him because they protected him. The reason why these guys just fought is because a penalty from the ref, the government, putting you in a penalty box is worth it for a player on the other team if he breaks Wayne Gretzky's knee and he can't play in the playoffs, right? The consequence was Semenko or McSorley is going to come out and beat the shit out of you, right? They're going to enforce it. So what happened is there were fewer injuries. There's a player named Crosby who had more concussions in one season when they changed those rules than Gretzky had his entire career.
Yeah.
Having those enforcers on the bench, as rarely as they had to fight, set the tone where there was self-enforcement.
Right.
What's up, Zombie? How you doing, buddy?
Laws that allow us to protect ourselves.
Staying out of trouble,
And
I hope, eh?
unfortunately, we've foregone them to the point where now you have liberal prosecutors, DAs, and judges, where you have someone like DeCarlos Brown Jr., who was let out 14 times before he killed Zarutska on the subway.
Yeah.
And you know what else?
How you been, bud? How you been? Give me the bow. Yeah. I'm not even touching the game, brother.
Culture of passivity is why no one.
Taking a hard pass.
And she died in public, but she died alone.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's empathy.
Right.
I hope that clarifies. It's changing the temperature
Right.
where they don't think we're sitting ducks.
Yeah, no, I can agree on that. I think you've changed my mind on the understanding of that. I guess where I'm still like, my minor disagreement is, again, I know people who are maybe more classical liberal or moderate to San Francisco standards, so take that as you will, who did
Yeah,
the death of
nice.
Charlie Kirk, but won't change their mind and go to the right. But I still wouldn't call those people violent.
Not
though
even
I could agree
interest.
maybe extreme leftism is violent. I could, you know,
No, I'm not calling them violent.
So I understand that, but I guess my concern is then with the. Again, I think you're a very intelligent person. I think you're very thoughtful, and I think you think about things, have your sources. But I know a lot of people aren't.
You give me too much credit, sir, but thank you.
But let's just say again, I know people on campus who will quote, I don't want to name drop these influencers, who say things online and they have far less credibility, haven't done their research, and then they take something like this and run with it to an extent that I think could then backfire. And that's why
I agree with you on that. And I think I will say intelligent, I don't know, I'm smart enough.
Okay.
I'm very careful with my language,
Yeah.
and I'm very meticulous in my sourcing.
Yeah.
This show, and by the way, the guy who deserves credit is there are people back here.
Yeah.
We make, so you can scan the QR
Yeah, I
code.
got
We
it.
make all of our references
Yeah,
available
yeah.
for every show, because I'm trying to be as responsible as possible. And the reason I try and be as clear as as responsible as possible is because I also don't want to soft walk it.
Yeah.
I also want to, when I say righteous, ruthless, lawful violence, I am not saying that those people are violent. But here's the thing. And I've talked to, sorry, I have with this bulletproof vest, it causes
I
belching.
thought you just hit me in the chest quite a bit.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, you are San Francisco, sir. If you're heterosexual, it must be annoying in San Francisco because you must get people making passes at you all the time. Come on, you're a young guy. We all know. Let's not act like we don't know what we're talking about here. I agree with you. I think there's a real problem, and we call out clickbait culture quite a bit. And people will say things to get clicks. I think that you will see with us we're remarkably consistent, and I am consistent in this. I'm saying predominantly the left, and I don't think there's an off-ramp.
Yeah.
Here's why. You can't point me
Yeah,
to a
I'm
single
just-
example.
I'm
on
more
the right
interested. I'm more
at all
interested.
recently comparable to Charlie Kirk, meaning a non-elected official.
I'm more interested in playing like old school zombies. Yeah, yeah. Oh shit. I got a motherfucking teleport. Dude, I'm fucking cooked right now. That joint I just smoked was like a fucking straight oil, dude. I'm cooked, boys. I'm fucking, I can't. I'm having a hard time keeping my eyes open here. Holy fuck. They're playing some BO tree. Some BO tree. Oh, yeah. I'm fucking
Being assassinated as an act of terrorism in cold
I'm
blood.
sitting here just like
and
stun
every
locked, like,
single vigil, memorial afterwards being desecrated by people on the left. Well, people from us.
People from us, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So the left, collectively, killed one of our guys,
Right.
and then came into our, they're so unafraid, came into our spaces and committed more crimes.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That temperature needs to change. And here's the thing, if your friends are truly peaceful, if those, they would have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
like
not
I
sure
have
they
no
do.
problem with someone else owning a gun.
Right.
I hope that everyone,
Right.
everyone here who can lawfully
Right.
carry is carrying because I'm not
Right.
concerned with them.
Yeah. That's actually something you changed my mind on when I was from San Francisco, so you can imagine where my default views
I was
started.
raised in Canada where we didn't have,
Yeah,
it was the
more.
magical closet of mystery and it was a disassembled shotgun.
Yeah,
I get
so,
it.
I guess. So, do you think that inherent to the left, this idea of no guns, no, kind of self-defense is sort of like looked down upon in San Francisco? We had a family friend of ours who, I won't go into it because I don't want to give their information away, but
That's
they,
fine.
out of self-defense, this was when Kamala was in charge, and she wanted to persecute this man for beating up somebody, not with a gun, with a flashlight, who came in his house, who was just got released from San Quentin, who had a
Yeah.
history of violence, sexual violence, and he was in his house looking at his daughter's room, and Kamala tried to prosecute her. And so,
yeah, you think that's bad, buddy? In Canada, they just tell you to give the fucking people whatever they want. Like, you're not even allowed to touch them. You go to jail. He's like, that almost happened. That happens every fucking day here, bud. I didn't realize I have a ring of dueling in my pocket, damn. Alright, PM.
I can see where that line is dangerous, but I guess, again, how do we, I don't see a world where we can change that ideology fully, so how do we get them to maybe agree on, like, we need to uphold the law on our own, as well as, again, change people's minds how you're doing it?
Sure. They won't agree. Now, it's funny that you bring that up because there was an example of, and I have dual citizenship too. I was born in Detroit but raised in Canada from 3 to 18.
Yeah.
A man beat a home intruder at 3 a.m. in his house.
Detroit?
No, in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Beat him, and then he was brought up on charges because it said it was excessive. In my opinion, killing an intruder in your house at 3 a.m. who is there to cause harm is not extreme. I don't even think it's immoral. He beat him up. So this is not an accident. When you mentioned in San Francisco, Kamala Harris, that's by design. The man was released 14 times before killing Zaruska on that subway. Not only that, you know who else we could say that about? George Floyd. George Floyd, I can't remember, 6s and 9s, I have like this weird dyslexia. It was either 6 or 9 times that he was caught and released. He robbed a woman at gunpoint with her child present. And so the left disarms
Was she
people.
pregnant, or did she have a child?
She wasn't pregnant.
Okay.
That was misinformation that a lot of people put out there,
Yeah.
and we clarified. And that's part of the problem that we're discussing. Right? People
Right.
go, the truth is enough. It was a 3 or 4 year old toddler there. That's
Yeah.
awful. It's sexier to say she was pregnant. And so people believe a lie, and then when you go out, not you, but when people go out and argue a lie, someone on the left goes, see, you believe the fake news.
Yeah.
Which is why we try and be accurate. But systemically, the left
Right.
needs to take accountability of their rhetoric. Your friends need to call out their ranks, the same way that we do on the right. And we also need to change the systemic soft on crime policy that we have seen. And the reason for that is because if you keep someone in jail, it's racism. If you, for example, force them to post bail, it's
cooked,
classism.
boys. I'm sitting here scrolling YouTube, already watching the video.
So the left will say they're peaceful,
Right.
but invariably they always enable crime and violence.
Yeah. So is the issue that the policy enables it, or is it that it's inherent to it? Because I can see, not that I agree with, but I can see the perspective of, okay, you know, you can even stand on a veiled Christian argument here where you say, oh, well, everyone's worth redeeming, everyone's worth redemption.
Sure.
So therefore, maybe we'd be a little bit softer because we want people to be in society, we want people to reform. I agree it's not working, but do you think that idea...
I think there's nothing Christian about it.
Can you explain that?
I don't think there's anything Christian about someone committing a violent crime and not facing justice.
Sure.
We serve a God of justice.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you'll find anything in the Bible, Old Testament or New, that justifies kid gloves treatment of violent criminals.
Right.
I will say this, the left wants you scared, dependent, dumb, and numb. Right? That's what they want if they could have their policy because it's a people more easily controlled. That sound like a good portion of San Francisco?
It's not. No.
Really, it doesn't, considering that we've enabled drug culture in San Francisco. Oh, needle exchange.
Yeah.
You're a criminal. You know, we're going to punish the person who protects their house. I'm saying San Francisco, Detroit, Chicago, you see what the left wants.
No.
And they want that for the rest of the country.
Do you think they do want that? I
Yes.
guess that's where I'm
Yes, I do.
struggling. So I think possibly that there are certain politicians who I can name or I think that are doing that. I think genuinely want what was worse for America. I don't think Ilhan Omar wants something good for America. But I do think there are people who I meet, like I've seen the mayor of San Francisco around. I don't think that person, Daniel Lurie, wants those things to happen, but I think he comes from a place of, this sounds nice, oh, like let's be nice on crime, and then it leads to an extremist view that isn't, again, inherent with the left, but because it sounds like a nice idea. It sounds, to me at least, it sounds like I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it sounds,
sure,
at a cocktail party, oh, like, why doesn't everybody just get out of jail and be kumbaya and swing around? Like, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where I'm wondering, like, I do think some people, in their heart of hearts, believe that is what they're trying to advocate for, but it leads to more extreme people who do have maybe nefarious.
I don't think it's extreme. I think it's mainstream leftism. And here's where I think, because I used to be more like you.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you the difference between the difference between 2008 me, where you can see me with the blue bed sheet on YouTube. There were no Christians on YouTube. There were no conservatives. In 2012 me, 2015 me, and today is it's gotten worse, and I'm willing to have conversations. But I think it's important to separate those who actually want to have conversations. And those who simply want chaos and violence. And I will say that is a fundamental precept of the left. You say you think they want what's good for America. They don't want America. They want something else.
Yeah.
If you're not entitled to protect your family and your own, that's not American. If you're not allowed to raise your child as you see fit, barring abuse, that's not American. The idea, let's look at, hey, Joe Biden. He said it's an act of evil to not affirm your child's transition. Does that seem like we just have a difference of opinion? He said it's evil.
Yeah.
Let's look at Kamala Harris. Transgender inmates, taxpayer-funded sex surgery, as well as disarming the populace. Walls. His state is a sanctuary state where if you have a 9-year-old wants to transition and you say no, they can flee to his state in Minnesota, and they will hide your child from you to protect them because of the abuse of not allowing their child. Does that seem like these people want America? They want a fundamentally different country.
Yeah.
They don't want what's good for America. They want something other than America. And that's why you need to be disarmed, and that's why you need to be made passive.
Do you think that the...
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's a really good point. I didn't know the thing about some walls.
Oh, it's evil. It's evil.
Yeah.
It's not even the only state.
So do you think that... Again, I wonder... I often think... I want to, again, see, okay, you have these left-leaning policies or views or whatever you want to call it, if you're not a policy... or views if you're not a politician. And let's say, you're very pro-transgenderism. I sometimes argue that, well, it's very difficult to have that stance because if I can't say 100% of the time that you're a man, then how am I going to say how I can treat a man or how can I treat a woman? Because we need to have a society that can first observe a universal truth and then therefore. So do you think those maybe secondary ideologies are coming in place?
I don't think they're secondary.
Dismantle? Oh, sorry. Maybe they don't come in first. Like you start with something like a Medicare or Medicaid, and then gay marriage, and then now it's where it is today. Do you think that? The point of that is to get to a place where we can't say anything is wrong and that we can kind of, do what we want? I guess what are your thoughts on that?
I think you're on the right track. I think they want to replace, and I see the crucifix that you have, replace God with the state.
Yeah, I agree.
Because God says men are men and women are women.
Right.
God says that he made woman from man's rib because it was not good for man to be alone. And he says that men have a role and women have a role. The left in this country says there's no such thing as men or women, and we're equal in all facets. By the way, let's get rid of pull-ups from the military. That's how extreme they go. God says that you were fearfully, wonderfully created, and he knew every hair on your head before you were born. The left says it's not a life until it leaves the vaginal lips. And I don't say that to be shocking. I say it because they're not just talking about in utero.
Right.
They're not just talking about the uterus. Literally, a 9-month-old baby. You have not found one Democrat on a national platform who would put any limits on abortion whatsoever. When asked, hey, is 9 months too late? They always say, we won't give a definitive answer. They'll give a definitive answer, though, on your right to own a firearm.
Right.
I think it's fun. Here's how you deal with it. Here's how I deal with it. People who are willing to sit down and have a conversation, great. I try and be respectful, polite, but I think that bluntness is a more valuable tool at this point because we've allowed it to go too far. And anyone who raises a hand in violence needs to be dealt with within the fullness of our lawful right to self-defense.
Yeah.
I think it's an A or B. There's a gray area, but not everything is as nuanced as the left wants you to believe. Because if everything is nuanced and nothing is true, then we don't know up from down.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't want to see you. I don't know what you're studying, but you understand Charlie Kirk was hunted.
Yeah.
Just as I have been hunted. Just as my father has been hunted. There's a reason he's not. He used to be my security. He's not here because he's too recognizable, and people have taken shots at him.
Yeah.
You're one viral X-post or one good video where you make a good point away from being hunted as well. That's not America.
Yeah.
That's not America.
Yeah. I guess last question. I
Yes.
probably don't disagree enough to honestly have.
No, it's okay.
To go on, but as someone who I think again, like I think one of the most fundamental values to like my Christian beliefs are that every human is equal and created in the image of God.
Yep.
So I guess I have something in this, again, if someone broke into my house and I had to commit violence against them, something within myself is a bit scared of that possibility, a bit like sad for that possibility. And so I guess again, like how do you, from a biblical or from a spiritual, or I would say biblical, but some people say spiritual perspective.
Yeah, the San Francisco white ladies. I'm not
I don't wanna
religious.
say
I'm
like-
very spiritual. Oh, I am. Just as a demographic. It's okay.
I don't want to point your fingers. Someone watched this, and I might know a few of those. But
All right, I'll point them for
how
you.
do you deal with that? And how do you?
I'm not sad at all.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I have a
Why's that?
child sleeping in that house.
Yeah.
It's my duty. Let's separate this into feelings and duty.
Yeah.
If you have a wife, if you have children, if you have a flock, is it your duty as a shepherd to protect that flock?
Yeah.
Go fulfill your duty.
Yeah.
And don't feel bad about it. That doesn't mean that you go out and kill other flocks.
Yeah.
It's your duty to protect that flock. I had a Christian, someone who spoke Christianese very close to me. Now, I don't want to point fingers. Who said, you know what? And I watched my dad have this conversation. Dad's the best man I've ever known. I use him as an example because I grew up and he always had these conversations. He said, I wouldn't be able to take a life if that man was in my house. My dad said, yeah? What if he's currently mounting your wife? He said, well, my dad said, what kind of a man are you?
Right.
He said, because I don't count you amongst us. And that's what I believe. I don't think that you go out and you seek violence.
Absolutely.
The most dangerous man is one who's actively avoided violence and has been brought to his front door.
Right.
I think Charlie Boy, this certainly qualifies. I'm not saying that in the reference to Charlie Kirk. That's a quote from the film The Edge. This certainly qualifies where we are.
Yeah.
And as long as no one comes here and tries to eradicate us, attack us, they can sit down just as you have. But the thing is, Charlie Kirk and myself, we've managed to avoid all kinds of violence. People like us sat down at a table and would talk with anyone who would listen. They took his life anyway, and they've tried to take mine.
Yeah.
So I'm not playing that game anymore.
What? I mean, I know you stopped for a little bit, but why? Seems a little bit illogical. Someone gets assassinated, then you go back. What gave you the courage to do that?
I'm different from people. Funny enough, people like Charlie and I have friends. For example, I have a friend, Andrew Wilson, who goes out and debates. His head pops off the pillow. It's like, ugh, who can I debate today?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm a very unwilling participant.
Yeah.
I did it because I felt that it was necessary. And honestly, I'll tell you, it was kind of a relief when it got to the point where it was so expensive because of the security risks,
Yeah, I can see.
where I kind of alleviated myself. I was like, you know what? Okay, it doesn't make sense. And I always wanted students to do it. It was always designed to highlight the failure of the institutions. In other words, having these conversations. Yeah, because I would ask students, why do you think this is the first time that you're hearing this, considering that they're going to these great schools, right?
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, a lot of people and I'm not talking about Charlie Kirk who did his own thing that was separate, but there were a lot of other people who copied it and morphed it, and it became about dunking, and it became about making fun of uneducated students, whereas I actually have a heart for them because they've been failed. And so because of the security risks, I kind of thought, you know what, I don't need to do it anymore. People have taken it on themselves. I can do what I'm best at, which is a daily show that's largely comedy. It's important now that the left knows we're not afraid. Because when they say tone down the temperature to us, I said, do you mean like sitting down at a table and having a conversation? Because the only way to tone it down further is silence.
It's true.
That's the reason I'm back here, for better or worse.
When I do think when you see Destiny or Hassan Pike or one of these guys going out, they have a harder time doing, for some reason, I don't know what it is maybe, but they have a hard time holding a conversation without being so calm.
And with no security, or very little.
Yeah.
They don't need the same kind of safety measures that we do. And that needs to change. That needs to change. Well, thank was it, what was your name? Connor.
I have a mug at home. I wish I would have brought it. Do you mind if I get a picture really quick with you?
No, absolutely, that's fine. Just in slow motion so that the security guys, you don't want them jumping. Absolutely, Connor.
I'm a really big fan of yours. So.
Thank you, Connor. I appreciate it. Do you think you're going to settle in Texas or go back to California?
It depends. I mean, I really like tech and like AI, so I'm drawn to that for the job purposes, but I like living here a little bit better.
Okay.
A few reasons.
Well, maybe split the difference in Austin and live on the outskirts.
Austin, I don't want to live in Austin.
No, I know it's gross too. Thank you, brother. I appreciate
it.
Thank you. Be well.
You know, at San Francisco aside, I'd vote for Connor for governor of California. There'd probably be fewer piles of human feces requiring an app to track. Up next, and this one's a little bit of a flyer, but we thought we should include it anyway, because why not? Atticus.
Atticus? Nice to meet you, sir. Good, strong name, Atticus.
Oh, thank you.
Today, and the reason for all the security that you see here, out of necessity, predominantly the left is responsible for the tenor and tone and political violence to the point that discourse may be irretrievable, which is why we're sitting down here. If you disagree, you're welcome to change my mind.
Actually, I don't know if the gentleman told you, I was actually here to try to have a more nuanced conversation about agreeing with you.
Okay.
If that was possible.
Okay.
I was actually going to say I'd like to have a conversation in the spirit of like Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder, where your ethnicity is more important and your culture is more important, and that is not a race issue. Race is more of a construct socially.
Sure.
You can end up controlling that.
The old black rednecks and white liberals book.
It's a
great one.
So on and so forth. And even in America, it's a microcosm inside your ethnicity, even regionally, deep south to Connecticut, etc.
Even looking where the term like crackers or honkies come from certain areas in rural, for example, Ireland or the UK. I know Sowell is brilliant on that, where I was like, hey, I guess cracker's not all that offensive. We can use cracker.
Yeah. So more or less the conversation I'm trying to have with you is, as white gentlemen, what is it?
A very white gentleman.
Very, very. I'm reflecting.
I know. You give Larry Bird a run for his money. I come from a family of gingers. I don't know. I get some of it in my beard,
I
but
the three-pointer, type of thing. But I'm just wondering, inside white culture, if we can call it out, like when we celebrate Larry Elder calling out systemic things that have happened in the past that have caused, the crime rate, etc. What would you say our white culture is? The taking the father out of the home, the putting everybody on welfare for substitution of marriage, etc., violence in music and entertainment. What can white people look back on culturally or historically that's made it since even J. Edgar Hoover's time, where white people are conditioning the Marxism that's leading to all the violence? I mean, Charlie Kirk is the example that this is a Marxist hive. The violence comes out in droves, and when you break it down statistically, 80% of academia is controlled by white people.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be I voted Trump 3 times. This isn't some closeted trying to have you into a pointless race conversation.
No, and I can't spend too much time on it because we do need to have the discussion about political violence.
Curious,
is your question, just make sure that I understand this correctly, what is the white equivalent in, for example, our culture taking accountability, like the black community for pulling fathers out of the home? What should we take account for that maybe has veered us on the wrong track?
More causation than correlation.
Okay. Well, I would say, actually, funny enough, one of them would be taking fathers out of the black home, because that goes back to Lyndon Johnson and Model Cities, the Great Society program where we changed the modern welfare state. I would also say it goes back to the 19th Amendment. And I don't mean women voting, but a big change in this country, a lot of people don't realize, because if you say that, they say you're saying women shouldn't vote. That's not what I'm saying. Before that, not all men, very few men had the right to vote. You had to be a landowner, you had to pay taxes, you had to obviously be, there was mandatory enlistment or selective service, the draft, mandatory bucket duty, which is voluntary firefighter service.
Yep.
So voting was actually a duty that came along with responsibilities. And basically under the guise of, hey, equality, but actually there was a socialist movement saying, women, you're going to get the vote. I think a lot of people don't realize most women didn't want the vote. It was over 90%. You can find all kinds of pamphlets from anti-suffragettes. And the reason why women didn't want the vote is because they were saying, well, we don't have to be eligible for the draft. We don't want to have to pay taxes. And basically those in power they said, no, you're not going to have to do any of those things. You'll still get the vote. And there was a period of time in this country where women had the vote without having to fulfill those obligations, and men still did. And so I think that was a big turning point in voting from someone else in your own self-interest, and that opened the door for people who, for example, never work, never contribute, never serve their country, voting to take from other people. And, that's effectively a slow march towards socialism. I think that's a big part of it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would also put back on you, where do you see the systemic cause of the, how would you call it, the empathy to detriment inside white society also? Because I'm a single father. My daughter, she's 16 now, been just me and her whole life. And
God bless you. I know that's tough.
Appreciate that. And I see, if I may be so bold, I see very unhappy, childless, angry white women controlling all the narratives inside the school system. She is now starting to be homeschooled starting Thursday, because I just can't deal with it any longer. So I'm just wondering where that comes in.
I agree with you completely. I know where you're going, and I agree with you.
So,
I agree with you completely.
Yeah,
if only men voted, and again, this is not saying that women shouldn't vote.
Yeah.
If only men voted, we would not have men and women's sports. We would not have catch and release on crime. We would not have cashless bail. We would not have these, I guess you could say, Marxist policies based on empathy, which, by the way, also ends up foregoing the necessary empathy for the real victim, right? Soft on crime victimizes real people.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is because I think that a lot of people, look, it is white suburban women who elect Democrats in this country. What's crazy to me is, I assume you're a God-fearing man, to whatever degree.
Yes.
You look around your church, okay? You look at the women in your church, and assuming it's even a conservative church, there are still more women in your church who vote Democrat than atheist men in most municipalities. It is a real problem. There's been a feminization of the church that has failed men. I would also say Ronald Reagan knew it was one of his biggest mistakes, no-fault divorce, and the custody laws that we have, something you may want to look into, and that we may play an active role in pushing in Texas in a way to fix it. Kentucky changed divorce laws to automatic 50-50 custody. Divorce dropped by 20-something%. I believe it was 27 last time I checked.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That was overwhelmingly popular in the Texas state legislature. Someone punted it. We're working to find out who. And I think we'd be on this, there's a lot there that we need to take ownership of, and if we're going to say what, quote-unquote, white people.
Yeah,
I
I'm using
understand
race as an adjacent to ethnicity, culture, and even that's regional, but still ends up creating everybody in academia leaning towards Marxist, progressive, and now they've even, if you go on Grok and ask how they identify, there's even a new identifier, which is radical, progressive, radical leftist, and this is at 30%.
Do you know, I had a girl who sat down here, Madison Today.
Yeah, that's my daughter's name.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully yours is much better. She said that the CCP of China, she said that was conservative violence. She said communism is conservative because Karl Marx was a conservative. I tried to get out of that conversation as quickly as possible because you're not going to make any headway with that.
You can't.
She said that
premise is wrong from the beginning.
And there was nothing I could say.
Yeah.
And that person's going to vote that person's likely to become a professor.
Yes.
You said your daughter's 16?
Yes.
And you've been, she's with you?
She's with me.
That's a real blessing. I hope you know,
Oh,
like
yeah,
a lot
she's
of dads don't end up with it.
statistically lucky,
Yeah, a lot of dads don't end up with that. And I think here's what I would say to you, on a personal level. Liberal white women are the worst. That's why I have a Latina at home now. She's I don't know if you know this, but Cuban immigrants are hardcore anti-communist.
Oh,
She's as right-wing as you
Burn
get.
your house down.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But I can deal with aggressive over passive aggressive because you know where you stand.
Yes.
She hates communists.
Plus, passive aggressive always comes with a knife, too.
Yes, exactly, it does. Yeah, where you could be cutting. You know, you walk in, we're cutting up your wedding dress in the walk-in closet. It's fatal attraction, boil a pet rabbit. But yeah, I will say, we're often taught, and I can just see in your mannerisms how respectful you are. You're probably a gentleman. We all have flaws. We're taught how to treat women, and we always get a little bit nervous. We say, yeah, but are women taught how to treat men? Most are not. And so in your individual life, especially if you're close with your daughter and you're a man who she respects, you do have a real opportunity there to be one of the few fathers saying, hey, look, if you want a successful relationship, I want a man who treats you well, but you need to learn how to treat a man, because that's something that we've lost.
That's something I definitely tell her. I tell her that what you just said, the world will tell your brother how to treat his wife, but no one's going to tell you how to treat your husband. And I reiterate to her that you are not an independent woman. What are you independent from?
No.
You need to be self-sufficient, but independent from what? Nobody's independent from responsibilities or bills. So when a woman says, I'm independent, what are you meaning? Because you're not talking about your dad, obviously. You're talking about men.
They mean the holy union that God put forth that we are not designed to be independent from. That's often what they're bragging about. But Atticus, I know I hate to move you along because I do want to talk to people about political violence. But Atticus,
I just wanted to. That question's been bothering me for a while.
Hopefully, I think, look, a single dad with a young girl, you can do a lot more good than I think maybe even you realize. Just having that foothold, being a good man who she admires, that's a rarity. It's a rarity that you are in charge of her. That's a blessing. Yeah, obviously, I don't know you that well, but seem like a good man. She'll listen to you. That can make a huge difference in a ripple effect. So I appreciate you sitting down, brother.
I appreciate the conversation.
God bless you, brother.
You too.
Go shoot some threes.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Atticus. I really do appreciate people bearing some personal issues like that, and sometimes that's what's great about this series. You never know where it's going to go. Speaking of which, here's the next guy, Harrison. He didn't want to talk about what we were talking about, but then we did talk about what we were there to talk about.
Nice to meet you, sir. What's your name?
Harrison.
Harrison? Do you mind scooting in? It'll be a little bit intimate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. So the premise today is that, by and large, the tone, tenor, temperature in this country is being set by overwhelming political violence that is coming, by and large, from the left. And I'm concerned that it would reach a boiling point from which we can't come back. That's a big reason for sitting down and having a conversation. If you disagree, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
See, I agree. I agree that the left is violent. I agree immensely with that fact. However, I disagree with the question in itself. So for me,
which question?
They say the left is a violent nature. It's a group.
Yeah. Well, that's why I just described it like by and large. Of course, there's political violence across the spectrum, but it's not proportionate.
Right. And so my thing, the reason I came here to talk about.
And you disagree with that? That it's not proportionate?
No, I do. I think it is disproportionate left.
Okay.
But my thing is, I think if you have to look at the policies of the left, I think when you have policies, obviously there's events like the BLM riots, LA riots, you have Charlie Kirk, of course. But I think when you get to the actual policies of the left, like abortion, that's an inherently violent act. That's an evil act. 1.2 billion babies were killed since 1980. That's an evil act.
I agree with you.
Act. I think if you look at the LGBTQ things pushed by the left, there's higher rates of pedophilia, domestic violence, suicide, abuse, mental health. That's obviously a very violent culture, and for me, I'm very religious, so I see it as a sin. I think God views it as an abomination, but in a secular sense, there are these secular measurements that point to it being violent. I think if you look at multiculturalism, you can look in Europe and see how that has caused a lot of violence in Europe and in West Europe, and also cancel culture, censorship. A lot of it's top-down censorship, I think, is a cause for violence. And so, yes, I think the left is disproportionately violent.
And can I just want to make sure that I'm not misunderstanding you? What you're kind of saying, and I agree with, is that leftism, progressivism is inherently violent because of the means of enforcement.
Yes,
and also the policies.
The policy. And so my thing is, instead of saying, okay, the inflammatory sense, like the left is violent, I think the left would disagree with that. The right obviously would agree with that. I think we should say, you know what, instead of saying this group is violent, let's address the policies. I think it would be more beneficial if you had a sign that says, I think abortion is violent, change my mind. I think LGBTQ is negative, change my mind. That's where it comes from.
Well, and I've done that to the tune of several billion plays.
Right, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, the reason we're discussing this today is because we haven't gone.
Yeah.
Well, no, we haven't gone more than 3 days without an act of leftist political violence.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you know, the ICE attack just down the street from here.
And so my question is...
So what you're saying would be more productive is what I've done since 2016, and we get killed anyway. And so now I'm addressing the root cause for that, the reasoning, which is the left, as you and I both agree, is inherently predicated on a violent means of enforcement.
I think it's predicated on an anti-Christian thing. I think if you look at the left, I agree. Christ, I think they try to renounce, they try to make government God, try to make social policies God, and that's what ultimately causes it. But at the same time, I think
it's interesting that you say that, because there was actually a girl who sat down here earlier, Madison, who said that the communist China, the CCP, was right-wing violence. She said it was conservative. She said that Karl Marx was conservative. She said that's right-wing violence.
That's just
and I tried,
correct,
and I tried to explain to her that Marxism, right, the root cause of not only communism but socialism, is replacing God with the state.
Of course, yeah.
She wouldn't hear it. So I agree with you that is the root cause, and that's why we do multiple change my minds on the individual topics, addressing them as we go. We have another topic specifically addressing Antifa. So I guess I'm not hearing disagreement.
Not too much about that.
Maybe you just came the wrong day because you would have rather seen the abortion or Second Amendment.
I think also that the mainstream conservative movements also have some violent tendencies, violent policies as well. I think when you look at how the support of Israel and Palestine, obviously Hamas, I condemn them completely.
Sure.
I don't think it's an either or subject where I don't support Israel, so I support Hamas. I think that's backwards. I don't think so either. I don't support Hamas or Israel, but I do not support Israel saying Hamas on October 7th committed a heinous act, so it's okay for me to go carpet bomb all of Gaza.
I understand that. That's a very reasonable position.
And also, I think the way is we talk about censorship a lot. You talk about censorship from the left, and I really support that. We don't need censorship. But if you look at things like Palantir used by the Trump administration, that is setting the framework for massive censorship. And so I think those things on the right, we have to also recognize that there are issues on the right with violence as well. But
it's not the same though. Not the same as far as censorship. I agree, and censorship ultimately the means of enforcement is violent. And I would even go to the TikTok policy, where you see Vivek make a flip-flop policy, right? Where they realize that it was a threat, and then all of a sudden they're pro, and then now there's an American company.
I'm sure you're banned. Aren't you streaming on? I'm sure you're banned on multiple things, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I was the first one demonetized on YouTube, and then I've been banned from TikTok.
Yeah, you, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, those people face censorship all the time, and I think that's very impactful. And I think
but what we're addressing today is the temperature, culture, and those. Look, let me ask you this, because this is what we're talking about today. And I understand you're saying you'd rather discuss one of those other topics, but this is what we were talking about.
I understand.
Today.
I'll stay on topic. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate it, and I don't disagree with your fundamental premises on any of those, actually. The issue, why? Let me ask you this, because I asked someone, the most liberal person who sat down today.
Right.
I asked her, why do we have crime statistics? Why do we record them?
To track trends.
Right. Risk assessment.
Exactly.
To prevent it in the future, right? To see who's most at risk of violence.
Right.
Yeah. And so if we look at that, then we have to look at, okay, who is most at risk of political violence? It is absolutely those on the right today. And she said, well, no, we don't want to finger point. So the reason for this conversation is because most people sit down and say both sides or try and take it to a different conversation. And I'm not going to let her do it or you do it. Nope, right now we're being hunted. And I don't care if it's you, Nick Fuentes, Charlie Kirk. I know that they have disagreements. I am further to the right of Charlie Kirk. I don't care who it is. Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh when he was alive. Charlie Kirk was hunted. He was hunted because of the inspiration of the rhetoric from the left, just as I have been hunted. And we have to have all of this security, which no one now argues is unnecessary. And so we need to deal with that problem. It's the reason we have crime statistics. That's why we're discussing this today.
I think you can see that the left is attacked, and I think Charlie Kirk was attacked also for his Christian faith as well as conservatism.
Yep.
You can see that. I mean, what really upset me is on that Minneapolis, I think it was Minnesota, that church was attacked. Was it Minnesota? Or
Michigan.
Michigan. And the BBC said, we don't know the reason. Clearly it was an anti-Christian attack, obviously.
Well, it was a Mormon church.
Okay.
And it seems like the guy was pretty upset. It doesn't seem like political violence because he may have been a Trump voter, as far as we know. He was a Marine veteran and seemed to really hate the Mormon church. So the target are conservatives, though. And that's one thing, too. For example, when they accuse it, if you look at these crime stats out there, and that's why we give these to you. Do you remember, so to give you an idea, and I think we're actually kind of coming to the crux of this here.
Right.
Truth is really important.
I think so. I think you have to call it out when you see it.
Yes. And I'm sure that you've heard from the left and probably here in these circles, people saying, actually, there's more violence coming from the right wing. That's a talking point right now.
I don't see that, I don't think the stats back that up.
No, well, stats do back it up.
The problem is the stats come from 2 sources. 3 if you want to be generous. It comes from the Prosecution Project, which is what was cited at the economy. That's why I had you read these definitions.
Right.
These are from the left.
Okay.
And all my sources are largely from the left, because the last thing I want is for someone to say fake news. And Cato. Cato is domestic terrorism deaths. The TPP is overall political violence. So when they assassinate Charlie Kirk, when they shoot at an ICE facility, when they attack an ABC affiliate for not having Jimmy Kimmel, right? When I have people try and firebomb my car, hit me with acid and concrete milkshakes, and then they gleefully celebrate the violence, then they come to the vigils, they come to the memorials and desecrate it, and then say, hey, your side is more violent, and they cite some stats. That's pretty important because this, how old are you?
I'm 18. I'm
okay, 18. So you may not remember, do you remember the Summer of Love George Floyd riots?
Yeah, I was about in middle school, so I wasn't super tuned in. But
No, that's okay. Again, we both agree on the term political violence.
Fuck
Let me
sakes.
show you what's not listed as left-wing violence. This was a famous death, a man named Aaron Danielson
This
killed by
kid
a guy,
is such
Mr.
a
Rhino, in
cringe
Portland,
guy.
Oregon, on camera, because he was a Trump supporter. Watch this. It's not graphic.
Yeah, clearly that's political violence.
It's not listed in any of them.
See, that's why I think that is awful. My question is to you.
And why do you think it isn't?
Because it doesn't fit the agenda.
Right.
It doesn't fit the agenda.
And that's the reason for the topic today.
And that's where my question to you is, you say the left is more violent. I agree.
Yeah.
How would you say that the right needs to turn it up with finger pointing, or do you think they need to? How do you plan on solving that? That's where I feel like that's really the two avenues.
So it's not finger pointing. It's identifying the problem, is my view. I don't think it's finger pointing if it's an overwhelming problem. And then especially, you can't be accused of finger pointing when the left goes, you commit more violence, sorry for this, I'm just making a point. And you go, but wait, you didn't list that. The Waukesha, remember the man running over those at the parade, black supremacists? That's not political violence. All of the damage from the Summer of Love, not listed as political violence. 37 people died, right? There was $2 billion in damages, not political violence. Would you believe that the person in charge, the author at the Prosecution Project, that is cited and disseminated by The Economist and Newsweek, he was actually arrested on January 20th with the anti-Trump protests, because there were about 200-something people arrested for committing acts of political violence, and he didn't include that either. That's the author of this study.
It's very skewed. I don't disagree with that.
But my point is, they're finger pointing and using it as a justification for continued attacks. So what's the solution? Well, identifying the problem. Identifying the problem. And then the only way we get out of this, and I think we would both agree that we want to avoid some kind of civil conflict war, right?
Well, I think Christ says, like, not to turn violent. Obviously, stand up for what you believe in, but as a Christian, I think we shouldn't turn to violent measures unless, like, your family or something like that is being
shepherd needs to protect their flock.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm not advocating that people go out into the streets and commit violence.
Right.
I'm saying it's an inevitability, unless what the left needed to do when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and they would have to do this within weeks,
is condemn it immensely.
Is not only condemn it, is go, whoa. We have labeled those on the right, Charlie Kirk, and I understand you said you're a Nick Fuentes fan. My God, what would they say about him, right?
Yeah.
We have labeled these people fascist, Nazis, racists, homophobe, sexist, transphobe, genocidists, right? All of that.
Right, just
and
buzzwords.
people out there believe it. And you know what? You can't deal with a fascist at the ballot box. And my God, we've also said that Donald Trump will never relinquish power, and we've tarred and feathered half of this country because it's the voting public. We're sorry. We need to tone it down. We need to do better. And then combine that with reversing all
Bro,
the
I hope he
soft on
does
crime
these
policies.
fucking. I hope he does
I think
this
that we see
again.
on the left,
bro.
I think we saw
because that enables it.
Like the Ukrainian girl, I don't know her name, unfortunately.
Zarutska.
Yeah, but that man should have been in jail for life 10 felonies ago.
Yeah.
The fact that, but the
You know, else should have George Floyd.
Yeah, he was a career felon.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
And so the thing is, like, I think.
But those are the two solutions.
Right.
Those are the only two. And by the way, I think that the right needs to be ruthless in exercising their lawful right to self-defense.
I think so too. I think you should have right to defend yourself, but also.
We haven't.
I think the right should set not finger pointed, but stand up for the truth. Like, we have to recognize that the DEI standards of justice are not appropriate.
Yep.
I mean, I understand it.
We do though.
And things, it has to be more intense because that girl died for a felon. I mean, and when you say, well, the justice system is unfair, well, on per capita, African Americans commit 40 times more violent crime than whites per capita on a sheer number basis. It's like
violent crimes. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that stat, but I do know that a white person is 12 times as likely to be killed by a black person than vice versa, as far as the murder
and the
stat.
problem is, if you point those things out, they say, okay, well, you're a racist.
You're a racist.
Fascist. Right. I think the right has to be like, if you call us that, we don't care. If you call us that, it doesn't matter. We're going to stand for what's truth. But my question is, you said the.
But do you agree with those solutions? The accountability, the changing the tone, the reversing the soft on crime policy,
I think it's
and the right taking the approach of lawful self-defense where we've afforded grace before. That's a three-pronged approach.
I think
it's partial?
very probable, but I think it's unrealistic. I don't think the left will condemn it. I think
you're right.
So the question to me is, while it's ideal and that's great if they do condemn it, if they don't, what's your next step? What's the next point?
I'm doing it.
Just condemn it, continue. Just continue.
I'm continuing.
I agree with that.
Because when they say tone it down, from what? From sitting down at a table and talking with anyone who will listen? The only way to tone it down from here is silence.
Right.
I think, I know that you're an energetic guy. I think you've been respectful. Hopefully you think I've been respectful.
I think it's a great conversation.
This is what I've been doing. They've tried to kill me anyway. And they did. The one that you saw that got through killed Charlie Kirk.
Right.
So when they say tone it down, what they mean is shut the fuck up, don't they?
I don't agree. I don't agree with that. At some point.
No, I mean, you don't agree with them, but you agree with the sentiment. That's, in other words, if they say you can't do this, tone it down, well, where do I tone it down?
Yeah, and as Christian men, we're not called to sit there and tolerate everything. I think as Christian men, obviously we're supposed to be maybe to be gentle, but also Christ calls us to be a lion for our faith. I think one of the popes said toleration of all religions, toleration of evil is the same as atheism. So I agree with your take. Like I know it's probably not entertaining for the viewers because we kind of agree on most stuff, and so But I agree.
appreciate.
I think really what I think is I think it has to come through a spiritual. So I think it's a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
And I think honestly the left is very atheistic, and I think the only way you won't get them to condemn because I don't think they feel sorrowful. I think the only way to really make the lasting change is through a Christian revival, which I think is happening. I mean, if you look at Gen Z, Orthodox, Catholicism, Christianity, it's all on the rise. I think that's the only way to really stop it.
And are you Catholic?
I'm Orthodox. I actually switched from Methodist this summer. I'm
so
Orthodox.
You know, it's funny. I've actually been. I'm not saying that I've converted, but I have a friend, Andrew Wilson, and he's Orthodox, and I've been going to actually an Armenian Orthodox church.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying I'm there yet, but because I do think that the sort of whitewashed Protestant church in this country has become feminized and has failed.
It's weak. It's gentle. It's too weak.
It's failed its constituents, and it's led us like lambs to the slaughter. And so I do understand, look, it doesn't mean that I'm there yet and agree with everything, but the truth is if there's so many factions, that means even if one individual or one church isn't complete, it means one is more right. And I do understand too with Gen Z, like when I started this in 2008, there were no Christians on YouTube. There were no conservatives.
Right.
I literally got the first
age was not Christian.
My first 10,000 subscribers, I literally found someone who did gun reviews, and I direct messaged my first 10,000 saying like, hey, I noticed that you like the Second Amendment. I think maybe you might like some of my content. And I did Crazy Pete's Abortion Barn, where with a blue bed sheet, I did a used car salesman selling abortions, reading from Planned Parenthood. The second one was a Quran challenge. I got a fatwa on me right away. But back then there were none. And I didn't, what I didn't expect was to see this kind of a swing, although I've always been pretty consistent, where I always said, when you whitewash Christianity, it's too easy for someone to come back with an argument and go like, well, God killed millions of people. I said, well, that's true. It's not just a God of agape love, it's also a God of justice.
Sodom and Gomorrah do exist.
Yep. And I've seen that change with Gen Z, where they're not just more conservative, they're more aggressive, aggressively Christian conservative and steadfast in it, where they don't want this sanitized version that they know is not truthful.
Right.
And I appreciate that about a lot of young Gen Z men. I'm glad to see it, because there was, pre-baby boom, and then there was baby boom through Gen X, where everyone was just
soft.
a pussy.
Yeah, soft.
And I appreciate, whether we agree on everything or not, I appreciate your generation picking it up.
Not to finger point, I feel very strong in my beliefs. So I'm saying you have to stand firm in what you believe in. If you don't stand for anything, you don't. It doesn't matter, because these people do not play by the same rules that we have played for the last 30 years.
Yep.
They're violent. They have mobs. They have that attack. And so unless Republicans, conservatives say, you know what, we want to play by those rules, we'll play by those rules. That's the only way to win. Obviously, not violence. Of course.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Be righteous. Live consistently. And by the way, I'm a horrible example as a Christian. I just tell people that. That's why I also don't preach. Though we do.
Is it 2:14, motherfucker? 2:14.
Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Yu here, a family.
Gangster.
States need to take this upon them, need to change their soft on crime policy. The no cash bail.
Well, that was surprisingly productive. And I say surprisingly, not in the context of change my mind, but in the context of what we see in today's social media highlight reels. I hope that we can keep this up. Let's move on to our next conversation with Madison, like the town.
Allow me to assert the premise today, which is that today, especially in 2025, I am presupposing that predominantly the political violence right now is coming from the left, setting a tenor and tone where everything you see here today is necessary. And if you disagree with that, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Yeah.
All right, so which part of that, the left is predominantly responsible for the tone of political violence today, do you disagree with?
Well, I have to think that we first have to consider how many people are on the left and what is the true ideology and mythos behind this new occurrence of violence that we see with the left.
Okay.
Of course, I mean, there's potential skews of media. I don't doubt that crime is not happening, but how many people are truly committing crime out of the sake of leftism or out of the sake of radicalism, or could it be plastered on there just to get this ball rolling about narrative? The only other question that I had, a personal question about you, is, and it's a tough one.
Well, is it related to the topic?
It is.
Okay.
Would Jesus be on the left or the right?
Well, that's a conversation for another day. We talk about that in church quite a bit. I don't necessarily know that he would fit within the current American left-right paradigm. But I will tell you one thing. Jesus would certainly be against political violence as a form of intimidation or coercion. It seems to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong,
May also be
you're not
against
disagreeing
abortion,
with the idea, the uptick that there is an increase in political violence from the quote-unquote left. You're just not sure if you define them as left?
Partially, yeah. I just don't
Why does it have to
necessarily
come all
want
the
to
way
just
over here?
assign political violence or terrorism directly to the left, because we see political violence across the world in
Sure.
forms of autocratic or conservative ideologies. So maybe China is a really good example. Arguably Russia.
Of leftist violence?
Of leftist violence, especially. Or, well, no, autocratic and conservative violence.
China would be conservative?
I would believe so, because they're an autocracy. So they have to practice conservative ideologies to obtain, they can't liberate their people. That's what the left is. That's what liberation is.
Well, I don't know how familiar you are with the CCP, but they're communist. And they did so under the guise of liberating people. And then, of course, you don't actually have any democratically held elections again. So they are communist. They've done so to liberate people, namely from the decadence, the quote-unquote shackles of the Western world. I'm just a little bit, I guess, flummoxed as to how you would define communist China, the Communist Chinese Party, as right-wing.
Well, because when Marx wrote his communist ideologies, it was conservative based. He didn't enjoy other people, races. He wanted to eliminate races.
What does it have to do with
It
conservatism?
has to do with human rights, because conservatism isn't looking to liberate people from or define human rights. It's looking to remove human rights. Conserving the beliefs of the state and conserving the beliefs of elitism.
Okay, so what if your premise is flawed? So what if conservatism, and I understand, by the way, I agree with you, it means different things across. For example, conservative in the UK. In Canada, you're basically a liberal or a liberal separatist. There's no real conservative party. But in the United States, it's not about conserving the state. As a matter of fact, our Constitution is very unique in that it said the state doesn't grant any rights. So it's preserving the Constitution where you are granted unalienable rights, meaning birthrights, by God. And the state only serves to recognize those rights and protect them. And so if the state ever infringes upon the rights that are naturally yours by birthright,
But who assigned
it's-
natural rights?
well, that's again, the founding fathers would be concerned.
Would
But
you
natural rights
consider them
being,
Republican? They
well,
were
this was before the
federalists.
Republican Party.
Am I correct?
This is the
Right.
Republican Party.
Yeah.
But I'm just confused. So you would say that communist China, conservative,
I would say it's autocracy that uses conservative.
okay, but how is that conservative? For example, you say doing away with races. How is that conservative?
It conserves their power over the state or over the nation.
So you believe that conservatives want the state to have more power?
I think that we define conservative beliefs by our Republican values. But conservatism across the globe looks very different.
Okay. Well, I agree that different parties, because there's also the Conservative Party, for example, whereas here it's the Republican Party. We're talking about conservatism in the United States. It seems to me that your presupposition is that conservatives, Republicans want more state control, want more government power, as opposed to the Democrat Party, liberals. Okay. That would apply over health care, what you can eat, what you can drive, taxes. They're more left, they're more liberal, more open-minded on the left with those policies. Okay, I would just disagree with that, considering if you just look at marginal tax rates and you look at gun policy, you look at speech policy, you look at energy policy, what you can drive. But going back to political violence, you said you wouldn't want to ascribe the uptick that we both recognize, political violence to the left. What would be required for it to be ascribed to the left? What if they said it was? Like, what if someone...
I would say, like, I'm looking at this globally.
Well, let's talk about here in the United States, because that's what we're discussing. Yeah. Like, what I'm asking you is, what would be required if someone were to commit an act of political violence and you consider it on the left? What if they said it's because they're on the left? Would that count?
I would say so, no.
No.
I think if somebody is doing an act in towards the left, what side of the left and why? Because what we refer to as the left is now a religion and ideology.
I would agree with that.
This is a secular movement.
Secular humanism,
And,
yeah.
well, you can really say demonic too, because like a lot of those people are nuts. And to try to return back to their liberalist state. Because in some ways, liberalists believe that they've been robbed of human rights. It's a radicalism of people that, honestly, if the conservatives, like maybe 20 years ago, started assigning themselves the idea of human rights or like, you know, public policy and things like that, there would probably have been a switch around for the conservative movement to be more actually the radical people.
Do you mean like the Civil Rights Act or like
Civil Rights
Emancipation Proclamation, freedom of speech policy, Section 230, Second Amendment? Do you mean those kinds of rights?
Those kinds of rights, but
if the right had been spearheading those?
And probably a little bit more socialist ideas. But of course...
Well, it's not just change the definitions, right? What you can't do, or I would disagree with doing, is saying racist means conservative, because it doesn't, right? Most slaveholders would be Democrat, and I know we would talk about how the parties have switched. You can't say KKK equal, those would be largely Democrats. There's nothing conservative about racism. There's nothing.
Again, I think that we're saying that Republican parties and Democratic parties when conservative.
That's what we're doing. We're discussing it here in the States.
Assignment of Republican, because if you want to argue that Republicans were liberating people, wouldn't that constitute as a left nowadays?
Why would that be left?
Because they're liberating people from slavery, and it's a Republican mindset. We don't.
No, I don't see how that would be left at all. As a matter of fact, I think your fundamental flaw that I would argue is this idea that the left is more concerned with individual liberty. That makes sense why you would ascribe conservatism to communism. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who agrees with you. But right now, on the political violence, let me ask you this.
Karl Marx, he was a conservative.
Wanted to do away with the nuclear family, wanted to seize the means of production and distribution. I just won't agree with you that anything about that is conservative. The political violence, the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Confusing conservative with Republican ideals, and the Republican ideal is to protect the family. In some ways, you could say it's conservative.
Sure,
family,
yeah, conservative,
again,
and Karl Marx wanted the state to be in charge of the family.
That is the American perspective on conservatism.
Okay.
But the
Here we
our
go.
Bible of like what is liberalism, what is conservatism. We can't assign it to American Republican Party or Democratic Party because people hold left-leaning views in the Republican Party.
Sure.
We can say that Republicans want to liberate the world from war nowadays, at least with Donald Trump's administration, and that the Democratic Party wanted to do more war in, what was it, like Bush's era? Right? So what is the confusing
Well, did you say Bush was a Republican? But I would agree with you.
maybe is it Clinton? Clinton was
Yeah,
Democrat?
I mean, I will say this: all presidents
God.
have been more pro-war than how they campaigned, with the exception of Donald Trump. I think we would agree on that. Political violence, the assassination of Charlie Kirk in cold blood. Would that be leftist political violence?
I think that was a Satanist.
Okay.
I was a Satanist, she says.
Daryl Brooks, Waukesha, running people over. He's a black supremacist who wanted to kill cops and white people. Would that be leftist political violence?
And he is a part of the BLM or Black Supremacy movement.
And would you not consider that among the left? Antifa, would that be considered among the left?
I think that they're assigning themselves a party to assimilate with, but that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't account for leftist values because the leftist.
So let me ask you, because I don't want to waste too much time on this. How would you curb political violence, right? The whole reason for crime statistics is a risk assessment to see who's most likely to be victimized and prevent it in the future. I get that you're in college and I understand that things can be kind of nebulous or abstract, but there are real people dying, right? And some of them are people I've known sitting in this exact, okay. So where is the violence coming from in the country right now when you take into account Charlie Kirk? I mean, what just happened here down the road at ICE, or Alvarado, I'm not sure how it's pronounced as well. We haven't gone more than 3 days in the last 3 weeks without significant acts of self-identified leftist terrorism. How would you curb it? If you're going to curb political violence, and it seems like you're not willing to say that anything is political within the paradigm as it's universally recognized, what would you do?
I think people need to go off social media. They're becoming radicalized through that.
Okay.
How much time can you spend on TikTok, like cycling through the same, like violent ideologies? Because conservatives can have.
I'm banned from TikTok because I said Xi Jinping has a small penis, so that's the Communist Party.
TikTok, I can say Instagram as well.
No, I'm just saying. I agree that social media can be very toxic, but we're seeing real acts of violence. So, assuming that you can't wave your magic wand and ban all social media.
Are you meaning in terms of like policies, like if I had a seat in?
Well, we need to identify the problem. Where do you think the political violence is coming from more right now?
I think on a global scale.
In the United States.
Both.
In the United States.
In the United States, I can't speak on the United States because I don't think it's just the United States.
No, but that's what the conversation is today.
Right.
So if you don't want to, that's okay. But I appreciate you taking the time.
This chick's
I appreciate
doing everything she
disagreeing-
can.
The disagreement respectfully.
That's crazy.
You're never going to get me to say that the Communist Chinese Party is right wing.
Well, of course you wouldn't, because like you represent the Conservative Party and the Republican Party most.
Well, there's no conservative party here. I'm just conservative.
There are examples of people who are carrying out things violently, but it is not just the leftist ideology. It is a religion. To
Sure.
Bro, I want a steak right
And
now
that's what
so
I just
bad.
wanna
I
say,
could go cook
is
one.
that because yeah, of course. And like I kind of already iterated my points, but
No, and I think, yeah, and we would agree, Karl Marx loathed religion and wanted to replace it with the religion of the state.
yeah.
And that's what we see from these leftists. But I appreciate you sitting down, Madison. Thank you very much. Are those furry pants? So that they look.
They're furry pants and what?
Well, they're fur.
Bear pants.
Oh, they're
These
bear
are
pants. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Adidas shoes that are very, very exclusive and rare, but
Sorry, what took you back when I said furry pants if they're bear pants? I didn't mean to offend you. They look like fur.
well, they are bear.
Okay,
Boston.
they're bear
Are
pants.
you a fan of Boston?
No, not very much. I only spent a little bit of time there with the hockey exchange. Montreal, we do an exchange with the Boston, and it's an intensely uneducated and often quite racist people. But thank you very much, Madison.
Of course.
I appreciate you taking the time. God bless.
God bless.
It's like I can only tolerate stupid for so long.
In a moment, if I may, for a brief intermission, and the only time I'd be addressing the crowd this day, to issue a new challenge and lay out next steps.
Guys, this will be probably one of the only times that I address you kind of as a mass of people, because these usually end up being individual conversations. But I wanted to take a moment just to kind of communicate something here. When we started Change My Mind, the idea was back in 2016
I think the first ones were in 2017, so nearly a decade now. SMU was one of the very first places. And actually, I believe one of the very first places was me with a sandwich board in Burlington, Vermont, in a morph suit, because it wasn't on campus initially. But the more I went on campus, the more I saw the failures of the institutions. And I want to be really clear about something. This was never designed to mock, denigrate, or dunk on students who don't know any better. It was always designed to highlight the failures of the institutions, because I was dumbfounded as to the fact when leftists would sit down that this was the first time they were hearing mainstream conservative views. So it was always about highlighting the failures of institutions, and that includes media, but certainly academia. And that's why the next step, and something we've been trying to put together for a long time, but no one has agreed to do so, and why I'll be announcing this publicly and reading it out, we're actually going to be starting or calling for formal debates with professors at schools. And the only way we can think to get these people to show up is to offer up $10,000 to the school for whatever cause of their choice, to their institution, and reach out and, oh, Lane, sorry, your phone locked. Where's Lane? Yep. Your phone, see, I have to read this off his phone because I just had to get the list. Can you hold it open? All right. And so we have reached out, and any Tom, Dick, Harry, or Karen who will respond and take the $10,000 offered up as a charitable contribution in any of the departments of political science or liberal arts at the University of Texas, at Kansas University, UCLA, Cal Berkeley, Stanford, USC, Penn, Penn State, Columbia, NYU, Harvard.
GM to YouTube. Welcome back to Wiki Guides. I'm doing Vorkath again because I have found the power. My good friend in the chat, Toma, enlightened us to the revision history of the. Anything for you, man. Anything for you. Shout out all the viewers doing Vorkath out there. Shout out, shout out.
Fuck, man, I want to go make a steak so bad, dude. I'm gonna do it. Fuck it, yellow. I'm making a steak. I'll be back, gentlemen. Jackie boy will be back. Dark beasts.
This
Damn,
is the
they're
best short rib
good.
recipe you'll ever make. So good, still served at a 2 Michelin star restaurant. And here's how to make it at home. This is
shit looks good.
a classic French braised short rib by an American chef called Daniel Boulud. The thing about short rib,
Boulud.
I don't think it gets the appropriate praise it deserves. Often braised meat is sometimes seen as a wintry or an easy sort of dish, but I think it's got just as much impact, some more of the premium cuts, if it's treated properly. Daniel's recipe starts with a ton of booze. So this is red wine. It's not the best quality red wine, but it is quite good quality. So it's something you wouldn't mind drinking. Bring that to a slight boil. You want it to be super sweet. It's going to reinforce the sweetness of the vegetables, and then it's going to make that sauce really sweet and robust in flavour. There's a few things that you need to know when braising meat. Short rib is probably one of the best things to learn on because it is by far some of the toughest meat you can get, and lots of fat running all the way in between the meat. The fat means it's going to give you some delicious flavour. The bone means it's going to give you some beautiful flavour into the stock that you're cooking it in. Braising recipes usually start by coating the meat in flour. And I've just seasoned that flour as well, just to give it an extra hit. Really, really important. We're going to do a process called browning. So it's exactly the same as getting a Maillard reaction on the steak. Dual purpose, because it will make the meat taste insane, but it will also flavour your stock and your sauce. And the best thing about this recipe is you're making your sauce at the same time as when you're cooking your meat. A beautiful one-pot wonder. So I've just got 4 little nuggets of short rib here. If you get this from your butcher, just ask for them to cut it in half if it's really, really long, because sometimes the actual short rib wouldn't fit inside the pan. Into the pan with our short rib. Just cook this quite slowly so we can develop a really nice solid crust. And now I'm just going to turn the meat so all sides have been hit. You can notice my pan's not too hot. I'm trying to sort of develop this like really beautiful golden crust. This is the best thing about short rib though. Ultimately, they contain a massive amount of collagen. That mixed with the natural gelatin that's from the bone is going to produce an incredibly delicious sauce.
I'll be right
That's
back,
what we're
gentlemen. I
looking
gotta go check on my steak.
So,
Enjoy this delicious looking
celery,
fucking
carrots,
video.
shallot, all best mates. This veg actually isn't going to make its way into the final sauce. We're going to pass it off, so don't worry about doing it too fine. Really interesting about the wine. It's still super sour, and essentially what you want to do is you want to remove it until that disappears. So keep that reducing for a little bit longer, and then let's take these bad boys out. They look absolutely next level already. In with our shallots. So all the rest of the veg is going to go in at the same time, but the shallots, you don't want to miss this opportunity to add caramelized sweetness. Whack the lid on, turn it down, let them sweat down, release all their juice, and then it'll deglaze the bottom of that pan. And what we're looking for here is, again, golden caramel. That's exactly the color we want. Then what we're going to do is add in the rest of our veg. Just crush with the side of your spoon, 2 cloves of garlic. You can see these little bits of fond on the bottom. As the sugar from the vegetables sticks and cooks onto the bottom, you really want to avoid any sort of black bits on the bottom of the pan. The really important thing to know when you're doing stocks, sauces, or even these braised dishes is that intensity has a sort of profound impact in the final dish. If you don't keep the bottom of this pan clean, you will always taste it in the final product, because you have to think you're reducing it to such a level that you can taste every little impurity. And if you burn the bottom of the pan or even slightly scorch it, you will ultimately taste that in the final product. Our wine has finished reducing, and it's such an intense color. You can see how it's going to add lots of sort of a beautiful intense glossiness to the sauce, and it's almost just taking a bit more of like a syrupy consistency, probably like the same consistency as like a blackcurrant cordial, so just slightly thicker than wine. Before we add anything else, we're going to add in tomato puree, probably about two large tablespoons. Really important with tomato puree that you cook it out just slightly before you add anything else in. So I'm just going to saute that off. This is the most important stage for when things start to stick. So when you've sauteed off your vegetables, most of the water's come out of there, and you've just added your tomato puree. So you've got to be really special attention at this stage. Meat goes back in, heat, importantly, goes off. The only time you're actually going to burn your sauce is now, because you're adding stuff into the pan, you forget that the actual caramelization is still happening. So red wine goes in, and you can see how this is going to come together and look unreal. So we got some beef stock. Just use some good quality stock from the supermarket. last but not least, herbs go in. Sweetness is going to come from these vegetables. This is going to add a nice sort of aromatic depth. It wouldn't be a fallow video without really, really good for braising meat at Cartouche because keeps everything locked underneath the liquid, but allows liquid to reduce and intensify without exposing the meat to the outside element. So it keeps everything ticking along nicely. For new viewers, I f***ing love Cartouches. If you want to cook a dish overnight, set your oven to around about 85 degrees. If you're going to cook this in 4 hours, like I'm going to cook it, braising meat temperature is perfect at about 140. You want to achieve the breakdown of the collagen at a very low temperature because then it'll make sure that it's locked in loads more juice into the meat whilst being really tender. So overnight, 85 degrees will always work, around about 10 hours. But any other time for braising meat, 140 degrees for around about 3 to 4 hours. And short ribs are the best one to do this with because it's super, super intense in collagen and really intense in these amino acids. So, but when it breaks down, it melts. It's one of the most beautiful things. So this has been cooking now 4 hours at 140 degrees. So really nice and low and slow. Ideally, what you want to do, whenever you braise meat, you want to let it try and chill out inside the stock. The braised meat comes out of the sauce, and then all of the moisture that's inside that meat sort of steams out of it. You get very, very dry meat. So ideally what you want to do is let it rest for around about 30, 40 minutes until it's like just lightly cooled down. So I've just taken the cartouche off and I've just basted it slightly. Those little nuggets. I mean, I don't even need to check that it's falling apart because I can tell just by moving around and touching it that it's super tender and moist. Leave the lid on 45 minutes until it stopped steaming. Okay, so our meat is chilled down now. We've got to be really careful at this point. I don't want to break it up. I really want to keep it nice and whole just because it looks a lot more appealing as one nice beautiful nugget that you can sort of break apart. Really careful not to let those bones slip out. It is literally just meltingly soft, so be super delicate with it. And then we've got this unbelievable sauce left in the pan. All of the collagen has been released from those bones. I'm not going to force any of this veg through because it'll just make the stock a little bit cloudy, and I've got more than enough to finish my dish. And then we're just going to bring this up to the boil and finish the sauce. Nice tip here, people actually skim this fat on the top, but what I actually want is to incorporate that fat back into the sauce. That fat's probably one of the best things about a short rib. So I'm going to leave it in, I'm going to boil the sauce and just slowly stir it. It's almost there, it's super delicious already, so we're just going to reduce it slightly. Just going to put some whole grain mustard. I'm going to take a ladle full of this stock, add it in there, and then this is just called making a slurry. So basically, if you put the mustard straight into the sauce, you'll get weird little clumps all over the place. So just making a slurry, take a portion of the sauce out, and then add your freshness, which is your sherry vinegar. And finishing a sauce is, sometimes it's quite a complex process, but when it tastes so good like this, it's pretty simple. All you need to do essentially is add seasoning and balance the sauce with acidity. At the moment, we've got so much sweetness, so much collagen in there, and we don't want it to boil too much. So I'm just turning the heat down slightly, just slightly reducing it and balancing the intensity of the sauce with the freshness of vinegar. And I've just taken off just a little bit of the impurity off the top, but that's pretty much all it's going to need. It's quite low maintenance, to be quite honest. Once we've reached this sort of consistency, it's nice and thick, very deep dark. You really don't want to take it too far because it could easily become too intense. Touch of acid will help balance that out. Really nicely balanced, not too intense. Just remember, this is going to be super sweet. So what you want from this sauce is acidity, and just to be honest, just to lift the richness of that short rib up. So this is celeriac puree. What we've done is we've taken celeriac, some potatoes. Basically, we've just cooked it down with milk. So really simple, reduce right down with the milk, and then just whack the lid on your thermo or blender. So we're looking for this really nice, glossy, shiny sauce. So to serve it up, just add on your nice warm puree. So this really wants to coat the entire sort of base of the plate. It's going to be like the bed for the short rib, and I'm just putting my ladle, the base of my ladle in until I make a natural sort of divot. So just add a bit of sauce on it. It's incredibly tender, I can already feel it. That just goes in the center, and then just finish, touch more sauce. There we have it. Daniel Boulud's red wine glazed short rib. That is the most decadent braised bear meat I've ever tasted. You can see why it's stood the test of time in Daniel's 2-star restaurant. Oh, they're all coming in. Go on, lad, get involved.
I am Daniel Boulou from Restaurant Daniel in New York City, and I'm making my favorite steak au poivre. Restaurant Daniel has always been the restaurant I dream of. We're gonna be making today a Côte de Bœuf au poivre. Au poivre means with pepper. We do a steak au poivre sauce where we have shallots and herbs, butter, and flambé with cognac. So here we are starting Côte de Bœuf, mean bone-in double steak ribeye. So this is a 34-ounce steak. The good thing with the bone is it's gonna help keep part of the steak a little bit more rare, and anything you cook on the bone is always better. We put a string to hold the meat tight together. Sometime with the cap, you could lose the cap here. So what defines a good steak is often the blend of fat and lean. It's okay if you have nugget of fat in the middle. That's gonna nourish the meat while it's cooking, and you can always remove it when you serve it. The first thing you have to do when you cook a thick steak like this is to let it temper a little bit. So you leave it outside maybe for 20 minutes. Now, if you like your steak very rare, then don't temper it, but you don't want to eat it cold either. So that's why you want to be able to cook it rare and have it warm inside. So the first thing we do is the seasoning. You salt the outside. This is sea salt. We're using a pepper blend that is made of 6 pepper inside. And the 6 pepper are from different continents. There is some green, there is some black. Sometimes we have some pink pepper. You can use totally only black pepper. I like the fact that many peppers have different fragrance. You can also pre-season your steak, but not too long ahead. I mean, in a restaurant, you cannot pre-season the steak. You get the odor, you season the steak, you cook it, and it's all fine. So, you know, there's so many theory about steak. What I'm gonna do is my theory. So good luck. I wanted to cook my Côte de Bœuf in my pan, the Daniel Boulou kitchen pan. But if you have a cast iron pan, if you have a copper pan at home, as long as you can maintain a consistent heat. I have a little bit of beef fat that is rendered from the trimming of the Côte de Bœuf. The beef fat has been cooked and also cooked with a little bit of garlic, thyme. So I use a little bit of beef fat in the pan and a little bit of clarified butter. The beef fat can take higher temperature, and it is good to cook in its own fat. But it don't matter if it's a pork chop, if it's a beef chop, or if it's a veal chop, you should always keep the trimming and cook with it. I would say medium high. As long as you see the fat bubbling and crippling and making music, that's a good sign. There's gonna be a little bit of smoke, but you don't want too much. You lower, you raise, you make sure that you don't burn your steak, but you sear it well. When you cook a steak, when you use a fork, you don't go in the middle and poke your steak. You always go on the side in a part of the steak that is not the prime meat, but right there, for example, and you can turn it like this. And I'm from Lyon, I love garlic, so I like to put some garlic inside my steak too. So this is only gonna flavor the fat, some thyme. This is just to flavor, and if you feel that it's burning, you take it out. We're gonna give many sear from one side to the other. I'm trying to do a constant turning. I won't cook it for 5 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other. I'd rather go gradually, gently inside. Even out the temperature and make sure that both sides of the steak have the same gradual cooking inside. And you don't want to create a crust that is too well done on the outside and is too uneven between one side and the other. You want the perfect steak. And also, you know, cooking a Côte de Bœuf at home, if you put too much heat, it'll be very smoky. So you really have to be gentle with the steak and be patient with the steak. And that's why the way I'm cooking here, it takes patience rather than speed. You see, the music never stops. And that's what you want, is you don't want smoke, you just want music. You can feel it by touching how the meat is still very rare on the inside here. I think we have been doing it now for almost 10 minutes, but that's good. That's how you want to do it at home. You want to be gentle, not create too much splattering also with the fat, because that will take you 2 days to clean the kitchen. We have a broiler at the steakhouse that goes up to like 1200 degrees or something, but no one has this type of broiler at home. So here I'm giving you the home version of how to cook your thick steak at home. And if there is any other chef that do it differently and smartly, follow him too. Now my steak is medium rare, so I let it rest nicely. You want the steak, the temperature to get gently into it. So the outside is very hot, the inside is still cold. So now it's gonna be warm by the time I finish my potatoes paillasson here. With my steak, I like potato, I like vegetable. Here we're gonna have this pomme d'arfin. I think it's perfect because it goes well with the sauce. It's tasty, something classic French. So I have potato, I have celery roots, carrots, and my favorite root vegetable, a truffle to go with it. So as you see, I am turning this into a small, medium julienne, almost like matchsticks. You have to be very careful with this tool. It's not recommended to use it if you never used it before. You can use a food processor that will do the same job, but we like it the old-fashioned way here. I have celery roots, the root vegetable inside. You can do any kind of vegetable as long as the vegetable will marry well with the potatoes. So this get nicely mixed. If you don't have truffle, it's okay. I just
made a bomb-ass steak, buddy. When you do show me how to do it.
Stop. I got a problem. I don't want to fucking dress up as a couple's theme on Halloween with my girlfriend of 6 years, who's very adamant that we do fucking reverse Barbie and Ken, where I have to wear a dress and a wig all night. I just wanted to do, you know, rock out with my cock out, where I dress up like an 80s rocker, put a rubber chicken in my zipper, and it's funny.
What?
You know, cute.
I died?
Maybe get one of them that squeaks or whatever. And when I told her that, she got so offended and told me that it was offensive to all women present in my presence.
What?
And that she would not be around me on Halloween if I dressed up as that. So I'm trying to find some middle, but she's not really budging. Should I just fucking do it anyway? I don't know. Let me know. Thanks, man.
Well, listen, man. I don't think that rock out with my cock out is worth jeopardizing your 6-year relationship.
You can tell this is a long-term relationship, dude.
Yeah.
Being like, I'm still gonna fucking do it. Fuck you. Like this, you need some fucking freedom in your. You need some space or something.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I'm just hearing his voice. I feel like stressed out.
That is true. The idea is like, should I even fucking do? And like her? Here's the thing. You did actually. This is a really good negotiation tactic.
Yeah.
Because it's like she came to you with an offer you don't want at all, and then you hit her back with something that she finds completely abhorrent. So I think, in my opinion, I think it cancels out, and we got to meet somewhere in the middle.
Agree.
Right? Like you don't as much as you don't want to do, dress and drag as Barbie, which, by the way, is, if you really don't want to do it, it is fucked up for her to be like, you have to.
He could come back and be like, it's transphobic.
Then you got that bitch at her own game.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it. I would say don't do rock out with my cock out. I don't know. I ordered some new filters for my CPAP machine.
Nice, dude.
So I'll be breathing clear tonight.
Oh yeah.
I'll just go let the guy in. Yeah, I mean, it is. You're so right, though. There is something so much bigger at play here.
Yeah, he's
that
needing
you don't.
fucking.
It
absolutely.
sounds. If you were gonna kill me, if you had a gun to my head and you were like, based off of this voicemail, will this relationship survive 6 months? I would say no.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yes, but I feel like the middle ground here is like what you want is to just be able to do your own fun thing.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the rocker with his cock out. What she wants is to feel like you guys are doing something together, and I do think you could come up with a costume idea where you still feel like it's a costume that stands on its own. It's not a cheesy couple's costume.
Right.
It's like a similar theme, maybe, but not like you're peanut butter and I'm jelly or whatever. But it's some theme you guys can kind of both do, but it's not exactly the same. I don't know.
No, I what you just said is really good. Where you want to do your own thing, she wants to do a couples thing, and it's like maybe the answer is a not as fucking corny couples costume. Right? Like maybe the answer is something that mixes together, but you don't have to wear a fucking dress and a wig that you don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe why does it have to be reverse Barbie and Ken? Why can't it be regular rock and roll Barbie and Ken? And that way you still get to put on your little rocker wig. You get to now look. You don't get the very, very good pun of rock out with.
I've done it. The best potatoes in the world. So this is my favorite personal potato dish. Quite easy to make. It's also like probably not the most traditional way. It's a pomme boulangère. Pomme boulangère just means potatoes of the baker, because obviously like a boulangerie in Paris. Add in your salt to your onions, just help them break down, start releasing some of their liquid. I don't really need to teach you how to caramelize onions, but basically the fundamental principle is cook them until they're really nice and golden brown. Don't get them too hot. Don't burn the onions, otherwise they'll get bitter. In terms of the potatoes themselves, I'm just going to show you, because we're going to use a mandolin for the video, but if you are just using a knife, it's really, really simple to do with a knife. It's not really a chef hack, but a mandolin is so much better for slicing consistently, evenly. Use a guard. The safe way to do it is when you get to the end, just use your hand. Just scrape off the palm of your hand, not the tips of your fingers. Okay, so these have been cooking down now for about 30 to 40 minutes, and you can see they're really nice and caramelized. But the key to this is just really gentle, because you don't want any black bits. That's going to make it bitter. I'm going to start to layer up the potatoes that we sliced. And we've got a little bit of beef stock, and we've got some clarified butter as well. Do it in the microwave. It's the easiest way is just literally to microwave it for 20 seconds, and then it'll be perfect. For this recipe, I'm not going to take the milk solids out. If a few milk solids go in the pan, who cares? It's going to cook down with that beef stock anyway. Just to be clear, whack the butter in a microwavable container and just put it on for 20 seconds. That's it. There's a load of mystique around it. I actually catch my chefs sometimes doing it, like they'll boil it until the solids of the butter turn into sort of like caramelized, and they'll pass it off. I don't get the whole thing, to be quite honest. I think people overcomplicate it. This, quite simply, is clarified butter. This, at the bottom, is the milk solid. The milk solids can burn, but at the end of the day, I'm going to add beef stock. I've got caramelized onions, so it should never get hot enough for these things to burn anyway, you know? So I'm just going to use this for flavor and to help the whole thing cook and caramelize. In the base of my pan, I have beautiful caramelized onions, and then I'm just going to layer up that with a little bit of the clarified butter, and then the first layer of stock. This is just to add a little bit of moisture to the bottom of the pan, and you've got to remember this is going to steam the potatoes as they start to cook. Stir to combine. And I'm just going to do a quick taste check, because I added the salt at the beginning, but I've not added any salt since. So I'm just going to add a hint of black pepper and salt. And this whole process now is pretty much just going to be mirrored on that. We're going to be tasting, adding butter, adding stock, adding salt and pepper, and layering the whole thing up. So the best pomme boulangère I've ever had is at Trinity, and he does it in a beautiful cast iron pot. The reason I'm doing it in this dish here is because I think this is something that I absolutely love making on a Sunday, because I think so traditionally I'm from Lancashire, so the north of England. The only difference between this and say a Lancashire hot pot is this is much more potato focused, whereas a Lancashire hot pot is like lamb cooked down with other vegetables, and then you put this layered potato on top. It's beautiful because it's a French technique, but also it kind of has a bit of meaning from where I come from, which is it's Lancashire, where it's quite a traditional dish. There's a slight overlap on each potato, but not too much, because I'm going to season and I want the layers to cook evenly. So you don't want it to be a massive overlap. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put the smaller potatoes into the center, and then save the slightly larger ones for the outside. It just makes it all look a little bit daintier because it's a gradient on how the potatoes go to the middle. And then when you get to the middle, just even less of an overlap. So I'm just going to go 3 or 4 here. Perfect. And then lightly ladle on a bit of your stock. Season. And then clarified butter. Like I say, I've got all that milk solid at the bottom. If I put all that in there, it would create this layer on top that does look a little bit scorched at the end. Okay, so next layer, what I'm going to do is just go to alternate from where the layer I went before. So you're aiming for that potato to be in between the other layers. The onions, what they're going to do is they're basically going to steam, add sweetness to the as they cook, and they're going to further caramelize. So the best thing about this dish is how far we've taken those onions.
Gone. I promise
so they
you.
are going to be like just an insane sort of flavor bomb at the bottom. It's almost like, I mean, if you think about it, it's almost like adding a nice layer of potatoes to a French onion soup. I guess that's the best way to describe it. As the stock reduces and glazes the potatoes, and as the potatoes cook, the starch is released and kind of binds everything together. So it's kind of like a perfect little process. And see what I've done now is I've just added more stock, but the layer of potato is just over what the stock is. And I'm going to carry that on with a few more layers. And then this layer, salt, pepper, layer of picked thyme as well. And then this fragrance is going to come all the way up from the bottom as well. And when you pull this out of the oven, it's going to have the most incredible smell. So this last little layer, for me, the Agria is perfect for this. What you do get in the end is like the beautiful caramelization and crisp without it colouring too far and basically discolouring as it cooks. I'm doing it in this like non-stick pan. You could do it in a nice cast iron Le Creuset or something like that. Anything that's oven safe can really be used for this recipe. A lid will basically block a lot of the steam from escaping. The best thing about
my dog's mooching for some steak right now. Oh my god. Holy moly, Rocky. Thanks for licking my feet, buddy. I need to do that, though. I am. You need it outside. Is that the problem? You need to go outside? Let's go. Get going. 3 o'clock right now. Fuck. I guess I should end the stream. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.